The water closed over Arya's head, cold and suffocating. She clawed toward light that didn't exist, lungs burning. Then she heard it, a child's voice, raw with betrayal. "Mother. Where are you?" Arya jerked awake, gasping. Her hand flew to her chest where pain bloomed sharp and hot, like something was trying to tear through her ribs from the inside. "Arya." Damien's hand settled on her shoulder, warm and steady. "Third time this week. It's getting worse." She pressed her palm harder against her sternum. "It's not just a dream anymore. Something's pulling at me." Before Damien could answer, his phone lit up with an emergency alert. Then another. And another. He grabbed it, and his face went pale. "Tsunami. Hit the southern coast 20 minutes ago." "How bad?" 200 confirmed dead. Coastal cities underwater." He looked at her, really looked at her. "Arya, that's 200 miles from here." The bedroom door creaked open. Orion stood there, his 2-year-old face too solemn, clutching his sketchpad. He'd been drawing obsessively for weeks, the same image over and over. A white egg covered in scales. "Mama," he whispered. "Sister's crying. She's so angry." "Sister?" Damien's voice went sharp. But Arya already knew. The pull in her chest, the drowning dreams, the rage she felt bleeding through some invisible connection, it all made terrible sense. "Get everyone to the conference room," she said quietly. "Now." Within an hour, her compound looked like a war council. Again. 6 months. They'd had 6 months of peace. The Selkie who'd traveled inland was young, barely past adolescence, and he was shaking. "The ocean is screaming," he said, spreading maps across the table with trembling hands. "Every marine supernatural can feel it. A child's fury. He swallowed hard. It's going to kill us all if it doesn't stop. It's not in it." Morgana's voice cut through the murmurs. The ancient witch looked exhausted, like she'd been awake for days. "It's a she. A white dragon. And she's calling for her mother." Everyone turned to look at Arya. "No." Damien's word was flat, final. "We just finished a war. Arya nearly died. We're not doing this again." "The coastline doesn't care about our fatigue," Kyle said from his position against the wall. His daughter Lily stood beside him, her dampier eyes flickering between human brown and vampire red. 7 major cities are in the path. We're talking millions of lives. That's not our responsibility. It is if that dragon is connected to Arya." Morgana pulled out an ancient scroll, handling it like it might crumble to dust. "The full prophecy, the one the elders buried. The white wolf will mother 5 elements, earth, sky, fire, water, and spirit." She looked at Arya. "Your twins are earth. Orion is sky. And water?" "Water is down there right now, destroying everything because she thinks you abandoned her." "I didn't give birth to a dragon," Arya said, but even as the words left her mouth, her hand went to her chest. The pull was undeniable. "You didn't give birth to a moon goddess either," Morgana replied gently. "This isn't about biology. It's about destiny. I'm going." Lyra stood in the doorway with her twin, both looking 14 now, though they were barely 6. "We can feel her, Dad. She's terrified and furious and she thinks Mom left her to hatch alone." "Your children," Damien said desperately. "We're goddesses," Celine corrected, her eyes flashing gold. "Or close enough. And that's our sister down there. We don't abandon family. We're a package deal, Mom," Lyra added softly. "Always have been." Arya felt something crack in her chest, and it wasn't the pull this time. "How long do we have?" she asked. The Selkie pulled up video on a tablet. The ocean churning like something was thrashing beneath it. Storm clouds gathering in an unnatural spiral. And at the center, a whirlpool the size of a city block, growing larger by the hour. Our seers say 7 days before she loses control completely, the Selkie said. After that, the destruction will be, he stopped, unable to finish. Apocalyptic, Morgana finished for him. She'll drown the eastern seaboard. Where is she? Arya asked. Morgana pointed to a spot on the map. Deep ocean. Far from any land. The temple is in a trench here. But there's a problem. Of course there is, Damien muttered. It's Leviathan territory. The room went silent. Lucian, who'd been quiet until now, actually laughed, bitter and sharp. Leviathans. The ancient sea serpents who've hated land dwellers since the beginning of time. Perfect. They'll kill anyone who enters their waters, the Selkie said. No exceptions. It's not negotiable. Then we don't ask permission. Celine cracked her knuckles. Arya looked at her 6-year-old daughter, who'd fought in battles and helped kill a void dragon, and felt pride and grief war in her chest. We need a plan, Kyle said, always tactical. We can't swim there. We can't fly in those storms. That leaves magic, Morgana said. I know a kraken who owes me a favor. Damien stared at her. You know a kraken? I'm over 1,000 years old, darling. I know everyone. The planning took hours. Damien tried every argument to keep Arya home. They had Orion to think about. The twins were too young. She was still recovering from the war, from nearly dying when Orion fed on her life force. But late that night, Arya found him on their balcony, staring at the moon. I have to go, she said quietly. I know. His voice was rough. Doesn't mean I accept it. She took his hand and pressed it to her chest, where the pull lived like a second heartbeat. Feel that? He concentrated, and she saw the moment he felt it, that invisible tether connecting her to something vast and young and drowning in rage. She hatched alone, Arya whispered. In a temple full of eldritch lies that promised her mother would be there. She's been calling for me, and I haven't come. Can you imagine what that feels like? Damien pulled her close, and she felt him shaking. I just got you back. After 6 years of thinking you were dead. After almost losing you in the war. How many times am I supposed to watch you walk toward death? As many times as it takes, she said against his chest. Until all our children are safe. And if you don't come back? Then you raise them to be better than we were. Kinder. Stronger. She looked up at him. Free. He kissed her like it might be the last time. And they both knew it might be. Morning brought Kyle and Lily to the training grounds. Arya watched from the window as Kyle worked with his daughter, teaching her to balance the two natures warring inside her. Lily was beautiful and deadly, half wolf, half vampire, fully neither. A Dampier. The first of her kind in their territory. The craving will always be there, Kyle was saying, patient despite the strain on his face. But pack bonds are stronger. Remember who you are. Remember who loves you. Lily's eyes flickered red, then brown again. What if I hurt someone? You won't. I've got you. He pulled her into a hug. Always. Across the yard, Isadora was teaching a class at the academy, the school where supernatural children learn together. Today's lesson, surviving trauma. You're allowed to be angry, the 300-year-old vampire who looked 12 was saying. You're allowed to be scared. But you're not alone anymore. That's what matters. Further out, first pack warriors drilled younger wolves in ancient combat techniques. Discipline and honor. Strength through unity. This was what they'd built. What they'd bled for. What Arya would bleed for again. You're doing it again, Damien said from behind her. Doing what? Preparing to sacrifice yourself. She turned to face him. I'm preparing to save her. It's the same thing with you. But his eyes were resigned. He knew her too well. Their argument from the night before had never really ended. It was the same fight they'd been having for months. Arya constantly putting herself in danger, Damien terrified of losing her, neither willing to back down. "I'm not trying to die," she said. "You're not trying hard enough to live." He gripped her shoulders. "You've been running toward danger since the day I rejected you. When does it stop? When do you decide you deserve to survive?" The words hit harder than she expected. "That's not fair. Isn't it? You throw yourself into every battle like you're still that girl at the altar, trying to prove she's worth something." His voice cracked. "You're worth everything, Arya. To me. To our children. When will you believe it?" She had no answer. On the 7th morning after the first tsunami, it happened. Arya was reviewing maps with Morgana when the ocean answered. The voice echoed across every body of water in the world, every ocean, lake, river, even puddles. Ancient and young at once, furious and heartbroken. 7 days, false mother. I've waited 7 days. The whirlpool on the news feeds grew massive, pulling ships down like toys. Come claim me or I'll drown your world. You have until the next full moon. Thunder cracked across clear skies. The ocean surged. The elders promised you'd love me. They lied. The tablet in Morgana's hand sparked and died as water shorted the electronics. Impossible, but happening. For days, Morgana breathed. The next full moon is in 4 days. She cut our timeline in half, Kyle said. Arya felt the pull in her chest intensify to agony. The dragon's rage and grief were overwhelming, flooding through their connection like poison. We leave now, she gasped. Mom, Lyra touched her arm, and visions flooded between them. The temple. The white dragon. And something worse. Dozens of eggs. Dozens. All beginning to crack. She's not alone down there, Lyra whispered. There are others. A whole clutch. And if they all wake up angry? The ocean's voice cut through again, directly into Arya's mind this time. For days, Mother who wasn't there. For days to prove the elders wrong. Or I'll make you watch this world drown, just like I'm drowning. The connection snapped off, leaving Arya gasping. The Leviathans just sent a message, the Selkie said, his face white. They've declared the temple forbidden territory. Anyone who enters will be executed. No exceptions. Not even for the Luna Queen. Then we go to war with sea serpents too, Selene said flatly. Arya looked at her family, her mate, her children, her warriors, her found family. Everyone she'd die to protect. We don't have a choice, she said. That dragon is my daughter. Somehow, impossibly, she's mine. And I'm not abandoning her again. Again? Damien asked. Arya pressed her hand to her chest. The elders made her think I was supposed to be there when she hatched. They set this up. Even dead, they're still destroying us. Then we end it, Kyle said. Permanently. Morgana nodded. I'll contact the Kraken. We leave at dusk. For days to reach her, calm her, and stop an apocalypse, Lucian said. While fighting Leviathans. Wonderful odds. We've faced worse, Lyra said with the confidence of a goddess in a 14-year-old's body. But as they prepared for war, none of them saw Orion in the corner, his cosmic eyes reflecting something that looked like fear. Sister's not alone, the 2-year-old whispered to no one. Brother Fire is waking up too. The ocean roared outside. The countdown had begun. Chapter 2. The Kraken's name was Thessaly, and she was not what Arya expected. Instead of a massive tentacled nightmare, a woman stood on the dock, tall, elegant, with hair like seaweed and eyes that reflected the ocean's depths. Only the faint shimmer of suckers along her bare arms betrayed her true nature. Morgana said you need passage to the temple, Thessaly said without preamble. I'll take you. But I won't fight for you. The Leviathans are old enemies, and I have no desire to make them older. Understood, Arya said. Behind her, her team assembled. It was smaller than she'd like, just the people she trusted most and couldn't talk out of coming. Damien, of course. Her mate wouldn't be left behind. Lyra and Selene, the Trinity bond making them inseparable from her. Lucian, who'd fought beside them through hell already. And Lily. Kyle's Dampier daughter had volunteered, and for good reason. I can breathe underwater, Lily had explained, her voice quiet but determined. Vampire lungs don't need air the same way. And wolf senses work below the surface. I'm the only one who can scout ahead without magic. Kyle had argued. Begged. But Lily was 17 now, or looked it, anyway. Time moved strangely for Dampiers. And she had her father's stubbornness. We need a sea witch, Thessaly said, pulling Arya from her thoughts. For the breathing enchantments. I know passage routes, but I can't keep you alive down there. I can help with that, a voice called from the end of the dock. The woman approaching was beautiful in a cold, hard way. Silver hair despite looking barely 40. Eyes like chips of ice. She wore the traditional robes of a sea witch, blue-green fabric that moved like water itself. Cordelia, Thessaly said, surprise evident. I didn't think you'd take this job. Not after. After your people killed my daughter in the war? Cordelia's smile was bitter. No, I didn't think I would either. But then I heard who was asking. She stopped in front of Arya, studying her with those cold eyes. The Luna Queen. The White Wolf. The woman who ended the Eldritch Order. Her voice hardened. You're too late for my daughter. She died 6 months ago in the final battle. I'm sorry, Arya said, meaning it. Truly. Are you? Cordelia's power flared, the dock trembled, and water rose in tendrils around her. Your war killed her. Your grand vision of unity got her caught in crossfire between factions that should never have been fighting together in the first place. Mom. Lyra stepped forward, her voice gentle. We didn't start that war. We ended it. Doesn't bring back the dead, does it? But Cordelia's eyes lingered on Lyra, something shifting in their icy depths. You're the empath. The healer. I try to be. Cordelia was silent for a long moment. Then, I'll help you. On one condition. Name it, Arya said. My daughter's soul wasn't destroyed. It was trapped, bound into a pearl by one of Aldrich's followers before the bastard died. Cordelia's voice shook. The Pearl of Souls. It's in the abyssal trench, guarded by things that make Leviathans look tame. Get it back, and I'll give you all the magic you need. Damien swore softly. The abyssal trench is a myth. A horror story we tell young wolves to keep them from the deep ocean. It's real, Thessaly said grimly. And it's exactly as terrible as the stories say. Nothing that goes down there comes back. Then we'll be the first, Selene said, her eyes flashing gold. Cordelia looked at the 6-year-old who appeared 14, and something almost like respect crossed her face. You're either very brave or very stupid. Both, Lyra said with a small smile. We're Blackwoods. It's our specialty. For the first time, Cordelia's expression softened. Just slightly. All right. Let's see if you can survive long enough to prove it. The descent began at dusk. Cordelia's magic wrapped around each of them, a shimmer of blue-green light that settled on their skin like a second layer. Arya felt it slide into her lungs, changing something fundamental about how she breathed. It'll feel wrong at first, Cordelia warned. Your body will panic, thinking you're drowning. You have to trust the magic. How long does it last? Damien asked. 3 days. After that, you'd better be back on land or you'll drown for real. 3 days to reach the temple, calm the dragon, and return. The timeline was brutal. Thessaly shifted then, her elegant human form rippling and expanding. Tentacles burst from her body, each one thick as a tree trunk and covered in suckers the size of dinner plates. Her true form was massive, beautiful, and terrifying. "Climb on," her voice echoed in their minds. "And hold tight. The ocean doesn't forgive mistakes." They climbed onto her back, gripping the slick surface of her mantle. Lyra's hand found Arya's, squeezing tight. Even Selene looked nervous. Then they dove. The ocean swallowed them whole. Arya's lungs seized immediately. Every instinct screamed that she was drowning, that she needed to surface now. But Cordelia's magic held, filtering oxygen from the water itself. After 30 seconds of pure panic, her body adjusted. She could breathe. Impossibly, she could breathe. "Welcome to my world," Thessaly's mental voice carried amusement. "Try not to die in the first 5 minutes." They descended through layers of ocean that grew progressively darker. Fish scattered at their approach, normal ones at first, then stranger creatures. Bioluminescent jellyfish the size of cars. Sharks with too many teeth. Something that looked almost human until it smiled and revealed a mouth that opened like a flower of razors. "Stay close," Damien's voice was muffled by water but audible. The magic let them speak, though it felt wrong. "Don't let anything separate us." An hour into the descent, they saw the first Leviathan. It was massive, a serpent easily 200 feet long, with scales that shimmered between blue and green. Its eyes were ancient and intelligent, tracking them with predatory interest. "State your business," it hissed directly into their minds. The mental voice was cold, formal. "Land dwellers are forbidden in these waters." "We seek the temple," Arya projected back, hoping the magic allowed it. "We mean no harm." The Leviathan's laugh was like ice cracking. "The dragon child cares nothing for your intentions. Neither do we. Turn back or die." Before Arya could respond, the serpent lunged. Thessaly twisted, her tentacles propelling them away with shocking speed. But more Leviathans appeared from the darkness, a dozen, then 2 dozen. They surrounded the group, circling like sharks. "They're hurting us," Lucian said sharply. "Driving us somewhere." "The Leviathan court," Cordelia said, her voice tight. "They're taking us to their queen." "Is that good or bad?" Selene asked. "Neither. It just is." Cordelia's ice-chip eyes were calculating. "Thalassa judges all trespassers personally. If she decides we're enemies, we die. If she decides we're neutral, we might live long enough to complete our mission." "And if she decides we're allies?" Lyra asked hopefully. "That's never happened," Thessaly said. "Not in 5,000 years." The Leviathans drove them deeper, into a part of the ocean where light had never touched. Bioluminescence became the only illumination, massive coral structures that glowed in blues and greens and purples, creating an alien cityscape. And at the center, on a throne carved from a single massive pearl, sat the Leviathan Queen. Thalassa was the largest serpent Arya had ever seen. Her body coiled around the throne in loops that seemed to go on forever. Her scales were iridescent, shifting through every color of the ocean. But her eyes were worse. They held millennia of memory, of watching civilizations rise and fall, of outlasting gods. "The Luna Queen," Thalassa's voice resonated through the water itself. "I wondered when you would come." Arya slid off Thessaly's back, her feet finding purchase on the strange coral floor. Her daughters flanked her immediately, and Damien moved to her other side. "You know who I am." "Of course." Thalassa's massive head lowered, bringing one huge eye level with Arya. "The elders spoke of you often. The weapon that would unite the supernatural world. Or destroy it." "I'm not a weapon." "Aren't you?" The serpent's smile revealed teeth like ivory swords. "You've already destroyed one ancient power structure. Started a civil war. Remade the rules of supernatural society. Whether you intended it or not, you are a force of destruction." We're here for the dragon, Damien said, his voice hard. Not for political debates. The dragon. Thalassa's attention shifted to him, and Arya felt her mate flinch at the weight of that ancient gaze. Yes. The white dragon child. She is ours now, by ocean law. Land dwellers have no claim. She's my daughter, Arya said. Laughter rippled through the assembled Leviathans, cruel and cold. You did not birth her, Thalassa said. She emerged from an egg. An egg placed in our temple by the elders, with a promise that this dragon would unite sea and land, ending the age-old separation. The elders lied, Lyra said softly. About everything. Thalassa's eyes fixed on her. Explain. May I show you? Lyra asked, her voice respectful. I can share memories. Truth. So you can see what really happened. The queen was silent for a long moment. Then, very well, little goddess. Show me. Lyra stepped forward, and Arya's heart clenched with fear. But her daughter was calm as she approached the massive serpent, one small hand reaching out to touch scales larger than her entire body. Light exploded between them. Arya felt it through their trinity bond. Lyra's power flooding outward, sharing not just images but emotions. The truth of the elders' corruption. The war. The sacrifices. And most importantly, the prophecy. The white wolf will mother 5 elements. When the light faded, Thalassa was silent. The entire court was silent. The dragon is not a gift, the queen finally said. She is a weapon. The elders created her to destroy both our worlds, to make sea and land dwellers fight over her until nothing remains. Then help us stop that, Arya said. Help me reach her. Let me prove I'm not abandoning her. That I didn't know she existed until she called for me. And if she rejects you? Thalassa asked. If her rage is too great? What then? Then I'll still try. Arya's voice was firm. Because that's what mothers do. Thalassa studied her for what felt like hours. Then, you may pass. On one condition. Another condition, Damien muttered. The Pearl of Souls, Thalassa continued as if he hadn't spoken. In the abyssal trench. Retrieve it, and I will grant you safe passage to the temple. Cordelia gasped. You know about the pearl? Of course. We guard the trench. We know everything that enters it. Thalassa's smile was cold. And everything that dies trying to leave. Why? Arya asked. Why send us there? Because if you can survive the trench, perhaps you can survive the dragon. The queen's eyes gleamed. Consider it a trial. Prove your worth, or prove the elders correct. That land dwellers are too weak to be trusted with power. We'll do it, Selene said immediately. Selene, Damien started. We don't have a choice, Dad. Selene's jaw was set. The pearl saves Cordelia's daughter and gets us to the temple. It's the only way forward. The young wolf speaks truth, Thalassa said. You have 72 hours before the dragon hatches fully. The trench lies 6 hours south. I suggest you hurry. As they prepared to leave, Lily spoke up for the first time since entering the court. Your Majesty, she said, her voice quiet but steady. What's really in the trench? Thalassa's expression shifted to something that might have been respect. Something that should have died with the elders. Something they kept alive through dark magic, feeding its souls to maintain their power. Her eyes darkened. You'll see soon enough, little Dampier. Try to survive it. The journey to the abyssal trench was tense and silent. Thessaly carried them swiftly, but even she seemed nervous. Her tentacles moved in jerky patterns, and her mental voice was uncharacteristically quiet. What do you know about the trench? Arya asked Cordelia softly. The sea witch's face was pale. Legends only. They say it's where the ocean keeps its nightmares. Where things too terrible for even the deep water are imprisoned. She paused. The Leviathans guard it, but they don't enter it. That should tell you something. Why would the elders put the pearl there? Lyra asked. Because they were bastards, Lucian said flatly. They wanted to make sure retrieving it was nearly impossible. Gives them power even in death. Damien moved closer to Arya, his hand finding hers. Through their bond, she felt his fear, his love, his desperate wish that she was anywhere but here. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? For always dragging you into danger. For never choosing the safe path. She looked at him. For being exactly what Thalassa said, a force of destruction. You're a force of change, he corrected. There's a difference. He squeezed her hand. And I chose to follow you. Every single time. You didn't drag me anywhere. You could have stayed home. Kept the pack safe. The pack is safe. Our children are here. His voice roughened. Where you go, I go. Even into hell. This might be worse than hell. Then we'll survive it together. Beside them, Lyra and Selene sat close, their powers humming in sync for the first time. Arya felt it through the Trinity bond, healing and combat, defense and offense, two halves of the same whole finally aligning. You feel that? Lyra asked her sister. Yeah. Selene's grin was fierce. We're getting stronger. We have to be. Lyra's expression turned serious. That dragon, our sister, she's powerful. If we can't calm her, we might have to fight her. I won't hurt her, Arya said immediately. You might not have a choice, Mom. Selene's eyes were older than her years. Sometimes love means making impossible choices. Arya had no response to that. Lily swam ahead, scouting with her Dampier abilities. She moved through the water like she was born to it, graceful, fast, deadly. When she returned, her face was grim. There's something ahead, she said. Big. And it's watching us. We're here, Thessaly announced, and there was real fear in her mental voice now. The abyssal trench. I can take you to the edge, but I won't descend. You're on your own from here. The trench opened before them like a wound in the ocean floor. Darkness poured from it, not just absence of light, but something thicker, heavier. Wrongness made tangible. I can't see the bottom, Damien said. There isn't one, Cordelia whispered. The trench goes down forever. The pearl is somewhere in the first 1,000 feet. Below that. She swallowed. Below that, even the Leviathans don't know what lives. They descended slowly, using Cordelia's magic to create light spheres that pushed back the darkness. The walls of the trench were covered in strange growths, coral that looked almost like bone, algae that moved without current. And eyes. Thousands of eyes, watching from crevices. Don't look at them, Cordelia warned. Don't acknowledge them. Those are the forgotten, supernatural beings who were cast down here as punishment. If they think you see them, they'll beg for help. Or mercy. Or death. And if we respond? Lucian asked. They'll drag you down to join them. They swam in silence after that, each lost in their own thoughts. 50 feet down, Lyra gasped. I can feel her. Cordelia's daughter. Her soul is close. Where? Cordelia's voice shook. Below. Maybe another 100 feet. Lyra's eyes glowed silver. But there's something else. Something guarding her. As if summoned by her words, the darkness ahead shifted. Something massive moved in the depths. Not swimming, uncoiling. Like it had been waiting, patient and hungry, for someone to finally come this deep. A voice echoed through the water, older than the elders, older than the Leviathans, older than anything Arya had ever encountered. The void dragon may be dead, but his children live. A shape emerged from the darkness. Serpentine like a leviathan, but wrong. Its scales were the color of emptiness, of space between stars. Its eyes held nothing, not malice, not hunger, just absolute absence. And we are so very hungry. 3 more shapes uncoiled from the depths. Void dragons, or whatever they were. Children of Uldrich, created through dark magic and fed on souls for millennia. They had 3 days to retrieve the pearl. They had minutes to survive. The first void dragon struck. Chapter 3. The darkness was absolute. Not the darkness of night or deep caves. This was something else entirely, a presence that swallowed light, sound, even thought. Arya's wolf senses, sharp enough to see in pitch black, failed completely. She might as well have been blind. Stay together, Damien's voice came from somewhere to her left. Or maybe her right. The darkness distorted everything. I can't see anything, Selene said, and Arya heard real fear in her daughter's voice. Selene, who'd fought vampires and eldritch monsters without flinching, was afraid of the dark. I can feel them, Lyra whispered. Her hand found Arya's in the blackness. The souls. They're everywhere. Crying. Begging. They've been trapped here so long they've forgotten what freedom feels like. Can you guide us to the pearl? Cordelia's voice was tight with barely controlled emotion. Yes. It's below us. Maybe another 50 feet. Lyra's grip tightened. But there's something else. Something moving between us and it. As if in answer, something brushed against Arya's leg. Cold. Wrong. Like being touched by the absence of warmth rather than cold itself. Void spawn, Cordelia breathed. God help us, they actually exist. What are they? Lucian asked. Baby void dragons. Uldrich's offspring, created through dark magic and soul feeding. The sea witch's voice shook. Legend says they're blind, that they hunt by sensing life force. The more you fight, the brighter you appear to them. So we just float here and let them eat us? Selene's voice dripped sarcasm. No. We move slowly. Carefully. And we pray. They descended in silence, each movement deliberate and controlled. Arya's heart hammered against her ribs. Every instinct screamed at her to shift, to fight, to do something. But she forced herself to breathe slowly, to sink through the darkness like a ghost. Something brushed her shoulder. She felt it open its mouth. Sensed teeth that would devour more than flesh. They'd consume her soul itself. Then it moved on. How many are there? Damien whispered. Dozens, Lyra said softly. Maybe hundreds. They're all around us. The descent continued. Arya lost track of time in the darkness. It could have been minutes or hours. Her muscles ached from the tension of moving so carefully, of holding her wolf back when every fiber of her being wanted to explode into action. There. Lyra's voice was barely audible. The pearl. I can feel it. 30 feet ahead. They moved toward it, inch by agonizing inch. Then Arya saw it, the first thing visible in this absolute darkness. A pearl the size of a human head, glowing with sickly green light. Souls swirled inside it like fireflies, thousands of them, trapped and suffering. And surrounding it, feeding on the soul's anguish, were the void spawn. They were horrible. Serpentine bodies like miniature dragons, but their scales were the color of nothing. That same emptiness Uldrich had embodied. Their eyes were hollow pits. Their mouths opened too wide, revealing teeth made of crystallized void. There were at least 50 of them. We'll never get past them all, Lucian said quietly. We don't have to get past all of them. Selene's voice had gone cold, tactical. Just create an opening. Grab the pearl. Get out. They'll sense the movement, Cordelia warned. Then we make it fast. Selene shifted in the darkness, and Arya felt her daughter's wolf rise. On my mark. 3. 2. Wait, Damien started. But Celine was already moving. She struck like lightning, her wolf form exploding into being. Even blind, her combat instincts were perfect. She went for the nearest void spawn's throat with precision born from 2 years of secret training. The creature screamed. The sound was like reality tearing. Chaos erupted. The void spawn attacked en masse. Arya shifted, her white wolf form offering no advantage in the darkness but giving her claws and teeth. She fought blind, relying on sound and the displacement of water and pure instinct. Something latched onto her hind leg. Pain exploded through her, not physical pain, but something deeper. It was eating her life force, draining years from her with every second. She tore free, leaving flesh behind. Damien. Lyra's scream cut through the battle. Arya spun, trying to locate them in the darkness. Then she saw it, another source of that sickly green light. Damien, in human form, with a void spawn attached to his chest. The creature was small, barely the size of a house cat, but it glowed as it fed. And Damien was aging. His hair turned gray, then white. Lines appeared on his face, deep as canyons. His hands became gnarled and spotted with age. No. Arya lunged, but Lucian got there first. The vampire tore the void spawn away, but the damage was done. Damien collapsed, gasping. He looked 70 years old. Maybe 80. The void poison, Cordelia said, her voice tight. It's in his system now. He's aging, weeks passing for him with every minute. If we don't get him out of here soon. She didn't finish. She didn't have to. Arya shifted back to human form, cradling Damien's aged face. Through their bond, she felt his confusion, his fear, his desperate attempt to hold on. Stay with me, she whispered. Please. Just stay. The pearl, he rasped, his voice that of an old man. Get it. Save them. I'm not leaving you. You have to. His eyes, still amber, still his despite everything, found hers. The dragon. Our daughter. She needs you. I need you. Arya, Lyra's voice was urgent. I can heal him. But I need time. And light. I can't work in this darkness. I can provide light. Cordelia's voice was strange. Resigned. But it'll cost me. Cost you what? Arya demanded. Everything. The sea which moved through the darkness toward them. Arya couldn't see her, but she felt the shift in the water. My magic. My power. My connection to the sea. All of it. I can burn it all to create light, real light, enough to see, enough for Lyra to work. But afterward, I'll be human. Mortal. Powerless. Cordelia, no, Lyra started. It's my choice. Cordelia's voice was firm. And I'm making it. For my daughter. For all the daughters. Before anyone could stop her, the sea witch began to chant. Light exploded from her body, pure, brilliant, beautiful light that pushed back the darkness like dawn breaking. For the first time since entering the trench, Arya could see. She immediately wished she couldn't. The walls of the trench weren't walls. They were souls. Thousands upon thousands of them, trapped in the stone itself, their faces frozen in silent screams. Every supernatural being the elders had imprisoned over millennia, their essences used to fuel dark magic. Children. So many children. And the void spawn, there weren't 50. There were hundreds. Maybe thousands. They filled the trench like a swarm of locusts, all turned toward the light, all hungering. Lyra, work. Cordelia shouted. Her body was burning, her magic consuming itself to maintain the light. I can't hold this long. Lyra dropped beside Damien, her hands glowing silver as she channeled healing energy. But the void poison was strong, fighting her power, corrupting it. Selene and Lucian formed a defensive perimeter, but they were overwhelmed. For every void spawn they killed, 3 more appeared. Lily moved like death itself, her dampier nature giving her speed even underwater. She tore through void spawn after void spawn, but Arya saw her eyes flickering, brown to red, red to brown. The blood she was consuming, even void-tainted blood, was triggering her vampire side. Lily, stop! Arya called. You'll lose yourself. But Lily didn't stop. Couldn't stop. She was too far gone, riding the edge of feral hunger. Cordelia's light was fading. Her hair had gone white. Her face, once beautiful, aged rapidly. The pearl, she gasped. Someone grabbed the pearl. Arya lunged for it, her hands closing around the massive sphere. It was cold. So cold it burned. Souls screamed inside, begging for release. Break it. Cordelia shouted. Free them. But your daughter, Arya started. Is in there. I know. Cordelia's voice cracked. Along with 5,000 other souls. Children, Arya. Babies. Innocents who were fed to these monsters. We can save them all, Lyra said desperately, still working on Damien. We just need time. We don't have time. Cordelia's light flickered. The magic binding the pearl can only be broken once. One break, one spell. We can free one soul or all of them. Not both. The words hung in the water like a death sentence. One soul, Cordelia's daughter, the woman she'd been searching for, grieving for, living for, or 5,000 innocents. Mom, Arya heard herself say. We can take the whole pearl. Get it to the surface. Find another way. There is no other way. Cordelia's eyes met Arya's, and they were ancient with grief. The pearl is tied to this place. It can't leave the trench. This is the only chance. Then save your daughter, Arya said. You've earned that. You've lost so much. I've lost everything. Cordelia's smile was heartbreaking. My power. My home. My child. What's one more loss if it means saving 5,000 others? Cordelia. She would want this. The sea witch's voice broke. My daughter. She was a healer. Like Lyra. She always chose others over herself. Even at the end, when Uldrich's followers captured her, she was trying to save children from the battle. Tears mixed with seawater on Cordelia's aged face. She would want me to save them. All of them. Even if it means leaving her behind. Are you sure? Arya asked quietly. No. Cordelia's laugh was bitter and broken. I'm not sure at all. But I'm doing it anyway. That's what mothers do, isn't it? Impossible things for their children. She placed her hand over Arya's on the pearl. When you see the white dragon, your daughter, tell her something for me. Tell her that mothers make terrible choices sometimes. That we sacrifice the ones we love most to save the ones who need us. Tell her that's not abandonment. That's love. Tell her yourself, Arya said. You're coming with us. I'm dying, Luna Queen. Cordelia's light was almost gone now. The magic burn will kill me in minutes. But I can use what's left to do one more thing. One last spell. She began to chant in a language older than werewolves, older than vampires, old as the ocean itself. The pearl cracked. Light poured from it, not the sickly green of trapped souls, but pure white radiance. 5,000 souls burst free, screaming with joy and rage and grief and relief all at once. They swirled through the water like a tornado of light, and where they touched the void spawn, the creatures screamed and dissolved. The freed souls had become weapons, each one destroying the monsters that had fed on their suffering. But one soul remained in the pearl's fragments. Arya saw her, a young woman, maybe 20, with Cordelia's eyes and a healer's gentle hands. She looked at her mother and smiled. "Thank you," her voice echoed. "For choosing them. For being the mother I always knew you were." "Sarah," Cordelia sobbed, reaching for her daughter's spirit. "I'm so sorry. I'm so. Don't be." The spirit touched her mother's face. "You made the right choice. The only choice. I love you, Mom. And I forgive you." The spirit faded, still trapped, still bound to the fragments of the pearl. But she was smiling. Cordelia collapsed. The light died completely. In the returning darkness, Arya felt the sea witch's heartbeat slow, then stop. "No," Lyra gasped. She abandoned Damien, moving to Cordelia. "No, you don't get to die. Not after that. Not after." Her healing power flooded the dead woman's body. Silver light fought against death itself. And impossibly, miraculously, Cordelia's heart started again. "How?" Lucian breathed. "The freed souls," Lyra said, tears streaming down her face. "They're helping me. All 5,000 of them. They're giving me their energy because she saved them." Cordelia's eyes opened. She was human now, mortal, powerless, aged to her true years. But she was alive. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered. "You didn't get to choose for all of us," Lyra said firmly. "We chose you." Around them, the freed souls continued their work, destroying every void spawn in the trench. The darkness lifted as the creatures died, until finally, blessedly, they could see by the dim bioluminescence of deep-sea plants. Arya turned to Damien. He was still aged, still poisoned, but Lyra's healing had stabilized him. He looked 60 now instead of 80. "Better, but not good." "I'll keep working on him," Lyra promised. "But we need to get out of here. The void poison is strong. I can slow it, but I can't cure it. Not down here." They gathered the fragments of the broken pearl. Inside the largest piece, they found something unexpected, an inscription that glowed with the last remnants of Sarah's soul. "When 5 elements unite under the White Wolf's love, the void's final weapon will either consume all creation or become creation's guardian. The dragon chooses." "A prophecy," Cordelia said hoarsely. "My daughter was a seer. She must have seen this before she died. Carved it into her own soul so the message would survive." "The void's final weapon," Arya repeated. "The white dragon. She's not just my daughter. She's the last piece of Uldrich's plan. Or the thing that destroys his plan forever," Selene said. "The prophecy says she chooses. That means she has free will. If we can reach her in time," Damien added, his aged voice raspy. Lily stumbled toward them, her eyes pure red now. Blood, void-tainted blood, dripped from her fangs. She'd saved them by feeding on the creatures, but the cost was clear. "Lily." Arya approached her carefully. "Can you hear me?" The Dampier's eyes focused slowly. "Dad," she whispered. I can't feel the pack bond anymore. Just hunger. So much hunger." Kyle would be devastated. His daughter, finally returned to him, now losing herself to the vampire side of her nature. "We'll fix this," Arya promised. "Just like we'll fix Damien. Just hold on a little longer." They ascended from the trench, carrying their wounded and their traumatized sea witch. The journey back to the Leviathan court took hours, each minute feeling like torture as Damien aged and Lily's humanity slipped further away. Thalassa was waiting for them. The Leviathan queen's massive form coiled around her throne, her ancient eyes taking in their group, battered, bleeding, diminished. "You survived," she said, and there was genuine surprise in her mental voice. "And you freed the souls. 5,000 innocents, released from torment." "The pearl is destroyed," Arya said. "Your trial is complete." "Indeed. Thalassa studied Cordelia, now human and powerless. You sacrificed everything, sea witch. Your magic. Your daughter. Your very nature. Why? Because someone had to choose the many over the one, Cordelia said quietly. Even when it destroyed me to do it. The Leviathan Queen was silent for a long moment. Then, you have earned my respect. And my aid. I grant you safe passage to the temple. More, I will send my warriors with you. The dragon child has awakened. She is conscious. And she is very, very angry. How angry? Selene asked. She has already destroyed 3 coral cities. Killed dozens of my people who tried to approach. Thalassa's expression darkened. She is searching for someone. Calling for someone. And each moment she doesn't find them, her rage grows. The moon goddess, Lyra said softly. The prophecy. The elders told her the moon goddess would be her mother. Then you understand the problem, Thalassa said. The moon goddess is dead. Sacrificed herself 6 months ago. The dragon child is searching for someone who no longer exists. Arya felt the words like a punch to the gut. How did you tell a child that their promised mother was dead? That they'd been lied to from before they were even born? Go, Thalassa commanded. Quickly. Before she destroys everything searching for something she'll never find. 10 Leviathan warriors joined them as escorts. They traveled swiftly through the ocean depths, following the path of destruction the dragon had left. Shattered coral. Scattered fish. The water itself felt wrong, charged with rage and grief. There, Lucian pointed ahead. The temple rose from the ocean floor like a monument to the elders' corruption. Black stone covered in their symbols. Ancient and terrible and wrong. And in front of it, newly emerged from the depths, was the dragon. She was beautiful. The size of a horse, with scales that shimmered white and silver and every shade of pearl. Her eyes were the blue-green of deep ocean, filled with intelligence and fury and heartbreaking loneliness. When she saw them approaching, her head snapped up. Her voice, when she spoke, was young but powerful, echoing through the water itself. You're not her. The dragon's gaze fixed on Arya, and there was such betrayal in those ancient young eyes. The elders said my mother would be here. The moon goddess. They promised. Her voice cracked. Where is she? Where is the moon goddess? She's gone, Arya said gently, her heart breaking. I'm so sorry. She died before you were born. The dragon screamed. The sound shattered coral for miles. The ocean itself seemed to shudder. They lied. Her power exploded outward, creating whirlpools and currents that sent even the Leviathan warriors tumbling. They lied about everything. I was supposed to have a mother. I was supposed to be loved. You are loved, Arya said, swimming closer despite the danger. By me. I know I'm not what you expected. I'm not a goddess. But I'm here. And I'm not leaving. The dragon's eyes narrowed. You're just a wolf. A broken wolf who was rejected and thrown away. Why would I want you as a mother? The words hit harder than they should have. But Arya kept swimming forward. Because broken things can still love, she said. Because I know what it's like to be told you're not enough. And I know what it's like to prove them all wrong. She stopped just feet from the dragon's massive head. Your name is Moira. It means fate in the old language. And you are my daughter, whether you choose to accept that or not. The dragon, Moira, stared at her. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then. Prove it. Prove you're not just another liar like the elders. How? Moira's smile revealed teeth like crystal daggers. Survive. She attacked. Chapter 4. Moira moved like a force of nature. One moment she was still, the next she was a hurricane of claws and teeth and elemental fury. Water obeyed her will, forming into spears that shot toward Arya's group with lethal precision. Lightning cracked through the ocean, impossible, but happening, striking with surgical accuracy. Scatter! Damien shouted, his aged voice hoarse. The Leviathan warriors moved to intercept, their massive bodies forming a living shield. But Moira's power was overwhelming. She was young, barely hatched, but she was divine. Born from eldritch magic and dragon essence and prophecy itself. She didn't fight like an animal. She fought like a god having a tantrum. A whirlpool opened beneath Lucian, dragging him down. Lily dove after him, her dampier speed the only thing fast enough to save him. Selene shifted, her black wolf form darting through the chaos, trying to find an opening to strike. "Don't hurt her," Arya shouted. "She's just scared. She's trying to kill us." Selene snarled back. "She's a child." Arya swam forward, against the current, against every instinct screaming at her to retreat. "Moira, please. Listen to me." The dragon's eyes fixed on her, blue-green and ancient and so achingly young. "Why should I listen? You're nothing. Just a wolf. Just another liar." "I'm not lying." Arya kept swimming closer, even as Moira's power pushed against her like a physical wall. "I didn't know you existed until a week ago. The elders never told me. They never told anyone. They told me." Moira's voice cracked with pain and rage. "They promised I would have a mother. That the moon goddess herself would raise me. That I would be loved." Lightning struck so close that Arya felt her hair stand on end. The ocean boiled around them. "The moon goddess is dead," Arya said gently, still moving forward. "She sacrificed herself to save my son. To save all of us from the elders. She's gone, Moira. I'm so sorry, but she's gone. Then I have no mother." The dragon's scream created a tsunami that rushed outward in all directions. Somewhere above, on the surface, cities were about to be destroyed. "I have an one. And you killed her. You killed the elders. You took away my only family. The elders weren't your family." Arya was close enough now to touch Moira's scales if she reached out. Close enough to be killed in an instant. "They were your jailers. They created you to be a weapon, not a daughter. Liar." The water around Arya turned to ice, trapping her in place. Moira's jaws opened, revealing teeth that could tear through steel, through stone, through anything. But Arya didn't flinch. "I'm not the moon goddess," she said quietly. "I'm just a wolf who was rejected at her own wedding. Who ran for her life while pregnant with twins. Who gave birth in a bus station with only a stranger to help her." She met Moira's eyes steadily. "I'm a mother who built a family from broken pieces. Who took in rogues and vampires and dampiers and anyone else the world threw away. And I'm telling you, you're not alone. You never have to be alone again." The ice around her cracked but didn't break. "Why would I believe you?" Moira's voice was smaller now. Still angry, but underneath the rage was something else. Fear. Grief. Desperate, aching loneliness. Everyone lies. The elders lied. The prophecy lied. Even my own existence is a lie. Your existence is a miracle. Lyra's voice came from beside Arya. The girl had swum forward, her empathic powers creating a bubble of calm in the chaos. "You're our sister. Part of the prophecy. One of the 5 elements. I don't want to be an element." Moira's voice broke. "I want to be a child. I want someone to tell me I matter. That I'm not just a weapon or a mistake or a..." She couldn't finish. The dragon, this massive, powerful, divine creature, began to cry. Her tears mixed with the ocean, and Arya felt them through some inexplicable connection. Felt Moira's crushing loneliness, her betrayal, her desperate need to be wanted. "You matter," Arya said firmly. She reached out and placed her hand on Moira's snout. Ice be damned. To me. To Lyra. To Celine. You're not a weapon. You're my daughter. I don't want another mother who'll leave me. Then it's a good thing I'm too stubborn to leave. Arya smiled through her own tears. Ask anyone. I'm terrible at giving up on the people I love. Celine swam up on Moira's other side, her wolf form shifting back to human. She's really annoying about it too, Celine said. She followed our dad into war. She fought void dragons. She almost died like 15 times. She doesn't know how to quit. I could kill you right now, Moira said, but there was less conviction in her voice. You could, Arya agreed. But then you'd be alone again. And I don't think that's what you really want. Moira was silent for a long moment. Then, in a voice so small it barely carried, what do I want? I don't know, baby. What do you want? The dragon's eyes, those ancient, young, heartbroken eyes, searched Arya's face. I want to stop being afraid. I want to stop being angry. I want, her voice cracked again. I want someone to choose me. Not because of prophecy or destiny or what I can do. Just because I'm me. Then I choose you. Arya said it like a vow. Right here, right now. Not because you're powerful. Not because you're prophesied. Because you're Moira. Because you're my daughter. And I love you. The ice shattered. Moira's defenses crumbled, and suddenly the dragon wasn't attacking anymore. She was just a child, curled in on herself, shaking with sobs that made the ocean tremble. It's okay, Arya whispered, swimming closer. I've got you. I'm here. You killed them, Moira sobbed. The elders. They were all I knew. They visited my egg. They told me stories. They promised. They lied to you. Lyra joined them, her healing power washing over Moira like a warm blanket. They were monsters, Moira. They hurt so many people. Children, like us. They trapped souls. They created wars. Let me show you. Lyra placed her hand on Moira's scales, and her empathic powers flared. Arya felt it through the Trinity bond, Lyra sharing memories. Not just telling Moira the truth, but making her feel it. The elders' corruption. The children they'd tortured. Marcus Thorne's victims. The void dragons fed on innocent souls. And then, other memories. Arya's memories. Standing at the altar, hearing Damien reject her. Running through the forest, bleeding and terrified. Giving birth alone. Holding her twins for the first time and promising to protect them no matter what. Building a family from nothing. Taking in Kyle when he'd lost everything. Trusting Lucian when every instinct said vampires were enemies. Fighting for Isadora, for the 37 children, for everyone the world had thrown away. Choosing love, again and again, even when it was terrifying. Moira's sobbing intensified. You were alone too. You were thrown away too. Yes, Arya said simply. And I survived. And I built something beautiful from the ashes. You can too. But the elders. The elders told you that family was blood and obedience, Celine cut in, swimming up to join her mother and twin. They were wrong. Family is choice. Family is showing up. Family is loving people even when they're difficult or broken or weird. She grinned at Moira. And we're all really weird. Orion glows like a nightlight. Lyra sees dead souls. I'm way too aggressive for a 6-year-old. Dad's currently aging to death from void poison. Mom's bonded to a kraken. You breathe underwater and shoot lightning. You'll fit right in. Moira made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been another sob. That's not how family works. Family is what we make it, Arya finished. Look around, baby. Really look. Moira lifted her massive head, her eyes taking in the assembled group. Damien, aged and weakened, but still standing guard, still ready to fight for his family. Kyle, holding Lily, his Dampier daughter who was more vampire than wolf now, but still his, with fierce, protective love. Lucian, with both Isidoras flanking him, the real girl and her magical echo, both his daughters now, both loved. Cordelia, human and powerless but still standing, still fighting, having sacrificed everything to save children she'd never met. The Leviathan warriors, ancient enemies of land dwellers, fighting alongside wolves and vampires. A family built from broken pieces and impossible choices and stubborn, relentless love. They chose each other, Moira whispered. Even when it was hard. Even when it hurt. That's what love is, Arya said gently. It's not the easy choice. It's the right one. Moira's eyes turned back to her. And you're choosing me? Even though I tried to kill you? Even though I'm broken and angry and... Especially because of all that, Arya said firmly. You think I don't know what it's like to be angry? To feel broken? Baby, I spent 6 years running from my own life. I know broken. And I know that broken things can still be beautiful. The dragon was quiet for a long time. The ocean around them had calmed, Moira's emotional storm subsiding into something gentler. Then, what happens now? Now, Arya said, you make a choice. You can hold on to the rage. Destroy the world that abandoned you. Make everyone feel the pain you've been carrying. She paused. Or you can come home with us. Be part of this weird, broken, beautiful family. Let us love you. You'd really want me? Even after. After you threw a tantrum that nearly destroyed the eastern seaboard? Selene grinned. Please. Orion once made the entire compound levitate because he didn't want to take a nap. You're practically normal by our standards. Moira's laugh was watery but genuine. This is insane. Welcome to the family, Lyra said warmly. Insanity is kind of our thing. Arya felt it then, a connection forming. Not a mate bond, not a pack bond, but something else. A mother-child soul bond, deep and true and unbreakable. It clicked into place like a lock finding its key. Moira gasped. I can feel you. Inside my chest. Like you're part of me. Because I am, Arya said, tears streaming down her face. You're my daughter, Moira. My beautiful, powerful, perfect daughter. I'm not perfect. I'm broken. So am I. So are we all. Arya pulled the dragon close, her arms barely spanning Moira's massive head. But we're broken together. And that makes us strong. The ocean calmed completely. The whirlpools disappeared. The lightning stopped. For the first time since Moira had hatched, the water was peaceful. The dragon, no longer raging, just a child seeking comfort, pressed against Arya and whispered, okay. I choose family. I choose you. Arya felt something in her chest crack open, and light poured out. The Trinity bond was expanding, making room for a fourth. Earth, sky, water. Guys? Cordelia's voice cut through the moment. We have a problem. The former sea witch was examining the temple entrance, her human senses still sharp. There's movement. Inside. Something's down there. Lucian moved to her side, his vampire senses probing. Multiple somethings. Heat signatures. Large ones. More dragons? Damien asked hoarsely. 11 more, Cordelia confirmed, her face pale. 11 more eggs. And they're all beginning to hatch. Arya's blood ran cold. The elders created 12? A full clutch, Moira said quietly. They told me I had siblings. That we'd wake together. But I hatched first, and she stopped. They're still down there? Still sleeping? Not sleeping anymore, Lily said, her red eyes fixed on the temple. Something's waking them up. Deliberately. Who? Celine demanded. The elders are dead. Aldrich is destroyed. Who would? A figure emerged from the temple shadows. Arya's heart stopped. It couldn't be. She'd watched the execution herself 6 months ago. Had seen the silver blade go through her heart. Had felt the moment Seraphina died through the pact bonds. But there she was. Alive. Whole. Smiling that poisonous smile. Seraphina looked exactly as she had the day she'd stood at Damien's side in her blood-red dress. Sleek dark hair. Dangerous curves. Eyes like a predator's. Hello, Arya, she purred. Did you miss me? You're dead, Damien said, his aged voice filled with shock and horror. I watched you die. Oh, that. Seraphina waved a dismissive hand. The elders had contingency plans. Aldrich may have been mad, but he was thorough. He bound my soul to the dragon eggs 6 months before his death. When my body died, my consciousness transferred here. She gestured to the temple behind her. I've been waiting. Sleeping with the dragons. Whispering to them in their dreams. Teaching them that land dwellers are enemies. That wolves killed their creators. That you, Arya, her smile turned vicious. Murdered their only family. That's not true, Moira said, her voice uncertain. Isn't it? Seraphina's eyes fixed on the white dragon. She killed the elders. She killed the moon goddess by proxy. She destroys everything she touches, little dragon. And now she wants to use you. To control you. To make you her weapon. She's not, Arya started. Save it. Seraphina's power flared, dark, twisted, nothing like the wolf she'd once been. The elders had changed her into something else. I've spent 6 months down here, bonding with these dragons. Raising them. They know my voice. They trust me. Behind her, the temple doors opened wider. Dragon heads emerged, 11 of them, each one unique. Black scales. Silver. Gold. Red like fire. Blue like ice. Green like poison. All of them looked at Seraphina with trust. With love. And all of them looked at Arya with hatred. Meet the dragon army, Seraphina said. The elders' final contingency. The weapon that will either unite the supernatural world, her smile was pure malice. Or burn it to ashes. And I get to choose which. Why? Arya asked quietly. What do you want? Want? Seraphina laughed. I want to watch you suffer. I want to take everything from you the way you took everything from me. My mate. My position. My life. Damien was never yours, Arya said. He was mine from the moment our bond clicked. You just poisoned me to make him think otherwise. And it would have worked. Seraphina's composure cracked. If you just stayed dead like you were supposed to. But no, you had to survive. Had to come back. Had to ruin everything. The dragons behind her stirred, sensing their keeper's rage. So here's what's going to happen, Seraphina continued, her voice turning cold. You're going to watch as I use these dragons to destroy everything you've built. Your territory. Your family. Your precious coalition of misfits. She looked at Moira. Starting with the little traitor who chose you over her own kind. Moira, get back, Arya started. But the other dragons were already moving. 11 divine creatures, all larger than Moira, all trained by Seraphina to hate land dwellers. They attacked as one. Moira screamed, not in rage this time, but in fear. She was outnumbered, outmatched. These were her siblings, and they wanted her dead for choosing the wrong side. Protect her. Arya shouted. But they were underwater, exhausted, wounded. Damien could barely stand. Lily was losing her humanity. The Leviathan warriors were strong but not divine. They were going to lose. Then Moira did something unexpected. She didn't fight back. Instead, she wrapped her body around Arya and her family, shielding them with her own flesh. "You want to hurt them," she told her siblings, her mental voice carrying to all of them. "You'll have to go through me first. Because they're my family. And I protect my family." The attacking dragons faltered, confused. "But she's the enemy," a red dragon hissed. Mother Seraphina said. "Mother Seraphina is a liar," Moira said firmly. "She's using you. Just like the elders used all of us. But you have a choice. You can choose rage, like I almost did. Or you can choose love." "Love is weakness," a black dragon snarled. "No." Moira's voice was certain. "Love is what makes us strong enough to be broken and still keep fighting." She looked at Arya through those ancient young eyes. "Right, Mom?" Arya's throat tightened. "Right, baby. Always right." Seraphina screamed. "Kill them. I command you. Kill the traitor and everyone she's protecting." But the dragons had stopped attacking. They were looking at Moira, at this sister who'd chosen differently, who'd found something Seraphina had never offered them. A family that chose them back. "This isn't over," Seraphina hissed. "I'll destroy you, Arya Blackwood. I'll destroy everything you love. And when I'm done, you'll beg for the mercy of death." She vanished into the temple shadows, her parting words echoing through the water. The Dragon War has just begun. Chapter 5. Seraphina's smile was the same one she'd worn at Arya's wedding, beautiful and poisonous. "You're wondering how," she said, moving through the water with unnatural grace. Her body shimmered, not quite solid, not quite spirit. "How I survived the execution. How I'm here when you watched the blade pierce my heart." "Eldritch magic," Cordelia said quietly, her human eyes still sharp enough to recognize the signs. "You bound your soul to something before you died. To 12 somethings, actually." Seraphina gestured to the temple behind her, where 11 dragon heads still watched from the shadows. "The dragon eggs. Aldrich taught me the ritual 6 months before his death. He knew you'd come for him eventually, Arya. He knew his reign would end. So he created contingencies." She laughed, and the sound echoed wrong through the water. "When you executed me, my body died. But my consciousness transferred here, into the eggs. I've spent 6 months in darkness, whispering to these children. Teaching them. Raising them. Poisoning them," Arya corrected, her white wolf senses detecting something foul in the water around the temple. "Void corruption, faint but present." "Saving them," Seraphina countered. "From you. From the woman who murdered their creators. From the monster who destroyed the only order the supernatural world has ever known." "The elders were parasites," Lyra said, her voice gentle but firm. "They fed on conflict. They tortured children. They gave me power." Seraphina's composure cracked. "They gave me status. They gave me Damien. And this bitch," she pointed at Arya with trembling fingers, "took it all away." Damien moved forward, his aged body slow but his voice strong. "I was never yours, Seraphina. You chose me," she hissed. "At the altar. In front of the entire pack. You rejected her and chose me. I was manipulated." Damien's amber eyes, still his own despite the void poison aging him, fixed on her with something like pity. "You poisoned Arya with wolfsbane. Made her seem weak. My uncle forged a prophecy. You played me like a puppet, and I was too blind to see it. Because you loved me." Seraphina's voice broke. "You must have. We were together for 6 years. 6 years, Damien. 6 years of me at your side, leading your pack, sharing your bed. 6 years of a lie, Damien said quietly. The mate bond with Arya never broke. It was always there, suppressed but present. I felt it the moment I saw her again. That recognition. That certainty. He looked at Arya, and even aged and dying, his love shone through. She's my true mate. She always was. And nothing you do will change that. Seraphina's face twisted with rage and grief and madness. 6 years of obsession, of waiting, of planning, all of it crashing down in the face of his rejection. Then you'll die with her, she whispered. Her hands moved in complex patterns, and the water around them came alive. It wasn't normal magic. This was something darker, twisted. The ocean itself turned against them, currents became weapons, pressure increased until Arya's ears screamed with pain, the temperature dropped until ice began forming on their skin despite Cordelia's protective enchantments. She's bonded with the temple, Cordelia gasped. With the eldritch magic in the stones. She's not just controlling water, she's controlling everything tied to this place. As if to prove her point, leviathans emerged from the depths. But these weren't the proud warriors who'd escorted them. These were enslaved, black collars around their throats, their eyes empty of will, their bodies jerking like puppets. The elders knew how to control any creature, Seraphina purred. Dragon, leviathan, even wolves. And I learned from the best. The enslaved leviathans attacked. Thessaly tried to fight them off with her tentacles, but there were too many. Lucian's vampire speed meant nothing underwater against creatures this massive. The twins moved together, their powers sinking, Lyra healing, Selene fighting, but they were 6 years old facing ancient sea serpents. Moira roared, placing herself between the leviathans and Arya's family. But she was young, exhausted from her earlier rage. She couldn't hold them off forever. This is your fault, Seraphina told Arya, her voice carrying over the chaos. If you just stayed dead 6 years ago, none of this would be necessary. Damien would be mine. The pack would be mine. Everything would be perfect. Arya laughed bitterly, dodging a leviathan's strike. You poisoned me. Manipulated my mate. Tried to have my children killed. What part of that is perfect? The part where I win. Seraphina screamed. She moved faster than thought, water propelling her forward. Her hands, no longer quite human, more like claws, reached for Damien. If I can't have you alive, she hissed, I'll keep you as a corpse. A perfect, preserved memory of what should have been mine. She struck him with magic so dark it made the void dragons look tame. Pure corruption, concentrated and deadly, aimed directly at his heart. But Damien moved. Even aged, even dying, he was still an alpha. He twisted, taking the blast meant for Arya instead. No. Arya's scream split the ocean. Damien collapsed, his body convulsing. The void poison that had been slowly killing him exploded outward, accelerated by Seraphina's attack. He aged in seconds, 70 to 80 to 90. His hair turned white as snow. His skin became translucent. His eyes started to fade. Damien, stay with me. Arya caught him, pulling him close. Through their mate bond, she felt him slipping away. Felt his soul starting to unravel, consumed by corruption. Lyra was there instantly, her healing power flooding into him. But the void was too strong. It ate her divine energy, corrupting it, turning healing into harm. I can't, Lyra's voice broke. Mom, I can't stop it. It's eating everything I give him. Try harder. Arya begged, her own power joining Lyra's. The Trinity bond flared, Selene adding her strength, but it wasn't enough. The void was like a black hole, consuming everything. Damien's hand found Arya's face, his touch so light she barely felt it. Love you, he whispered. Always, loved. Don't you dare. Arya's tears mixed with seawater. Don't you dare leave me. Not now. Not after everything. He needs an anchor, Cordelia said urgently. She'd moved beside them, her human knowledge of magic still vast. The void is eating the mate bond. It's not strong enough to hold him. What do we do? Celine demanded, her voice fierce despite her fear. We need something stronger than a mate bond. Cordelia's eyes were calculating. The Trinity bond, it connects you three. But if we could expand it, include Damien, make it a family bond instead of just mother and daughters. How? Arya asked desperately. A small voice answered. Me help. Everyone turned. Orion stood there, 2 years old, glowing like a tiny star even in the ocean depths. He'd been quiet this whole time, watching with those cosmic eyes that saw too much. He toddled forward, his divine nature keeping him upright despite the currents. His small hand reached for Damien's chest. Orion, no. Arya started. But Orion was already touching his father. Pure light exploded from the contact, not the destructive light that had fought the elders, but something gentler. Creation instead of destruction. Love made tangible. Through their various bonds, Arya felt it happening. Orion was creating a bridge, taking the Trinity bond and expanding it, reshaping it. No longer just Arya and her daughters. Now it included Damien. And through Damien, it looped back to Orion himself. A true family bond. 5 souls woven together so tightly they couldn't be separated. The void poison screamed as it was pushed back. It had been eating Damien's individual soul, but now his soul was connected to 4 others. To destroy him, it would have to destroy them all. And Orion's divine nature made that impossible. Damien gasped, his body convulsing one final time. Then he stabilized. The aging stopped. He still looked 70, still bore the scars of void corruption, but he was alive. Breathing. Present. What? His voice was hoarse. What did he do? Made us family, Celine said, her eyes wide. Really, truly family. I can feel all of you. Mom, Lyra, Orion, you. It's like we're all connected. The 5-fold bond, Cordelia breathed. I've only read about it in legends. When 5 souls choose each other so completely that they become one entity. It's supposed to be impossible. We specialize in impossible, Arya said, pulling Damien and Orion into her arms. Her daughters crowded close, and for one perfect moment, they were complete. Then Seraphina's scream shattered the moment. No. She was thrashing in the water, her composure completely gone. No, no, and oh. He's supposed to die. You're supposed to suffer. Her madness was complete now. 6 years of obsession, of planning, of waiting, all for nothing. If I can't have happiness, she snarled, her hands moving in desperate patterns, then no one will. She struck the temple wall with her magic. The eldritch symbols there, dormant for months, flared to life. What are you doing? Cordelia shouted. Waking them. Seraphina's smile was deranged. All of them. Now. Ready or not? They're not ready, Moira said, her voice tight with fear. Seraphina, they need time to hatch properly. If you force them early, they'll be perfect weapons, Seraphina finished. Confused. Frightened. Angry. Just like you were, little dragon. But unlike you, they won't have time to choose the wrong side. The temple doors shattered. 11 eggs rolled out, each one pulsing with sickly green light. Void corruption, woven into their very shells. You infected them, Arya breathed. You infected them with void energy while they were still developing. I prepared them, Seraphina corrected. For a world where weakness is death. For a world where only the strong survive. For a world where you don't exist. The eggs cracked. Arya had seen Moira's hatching, beautiful and terrible, a divine creature emerging into consciousness. This was nothing like that. The dragons that emerged were wrong. Malformed. One had too many eyes. Another had scales that wept black ichor. A third couldn't close its jaws properly, teeth jutting at wrong angles. They were all different sizes, some as small as dogs, others as large as horses. But all of them radiated the same thing. Void corruption. Pain. Madness. Kill them, Seraphina commanded, pointing at Arya's family. Kill them all. Starting with the children. The corrupted dragons attacked. Moira roared, placing herself between her siblings and her family. Please, she begged. Don't do this. You don't have to. A black dragon, scales like midnight, eyes like empty graves, slammed into her. Moira tumbled backward, her white scales now streaked with void ichor. Traitor, the black dragon hissed into all their minds. Mother Seraphina says you betrayed us. Chose the enemy. Must die. She's not the enemy. Moira struggled to her feet. She's our mother. Our real mother. Seraphina is lying. 3 dragons struck together, black, silver, and one with scales like dried blood. They moved with pack coordination, forcing Moira back, away from Arya's family. Protect the children. Arya shouted, shifting to her white wolf form. But underwater, wolves were at a disadvantage. She was strong, but these were divine creatures, even corrupted. Lyra and Selene moved together, their powers sinking again. Healing and combat. Defense and offense. They managed to drive back one dragon, a small green one with poison dripping from its fangs, but there were too many. Lucian fought with vampire speed, his fangs finding purchase in void-corrupted scales. But the blood he tasted was poison, and he fell back, retching. Lily, her dampier nature giving her an edge, managed to blind one dragon, her claws raking across its too many eyes. But another caught her with its tail, sending her crashing into the temple wall. Kyle roared, his wolf protecting his daughter, but he was just one wolf against 11 dragons. The Leviathans, the enslaved ones, joined the attack, their massive bodies blocking any escape route. Damien tried to stand, to fight, but his aged body betrayed him. He collapsed, and Arya felt his frustration through their new bond. Felt his desperate need to protect his family warring with his physical limitations. We can't win this, Cordelia said quietly, pulling the twins close. Not like this. We're outmatched. Then we run, Arya said, but even as the words left her mouth, she knew it was impossible. They were surrounded. Trapped. The ocean itself was against them, Seraphina's magic controlling every current. Moira was still fighting her siblings, pleading with them between strikes. Please. Listen to me. She's lying. The elders lied. Seraphina is. Enough. The largest dragon, blood-red scales, size of a small house, struck Moira with enough force to crack her skull. The white dragon went limp, sinking toward the ocean floor. Moira. Arya screamed. Seraphina laughed, the sound bouncing off the temple walls. This is what happens when you choose wrong, Arya. Everyone you love suffers. Everyone you save gets hurt. You're not a hero. You're a curse. The corrupted dragons closed in, circling Arya's family like sharks. 11 pairs of void-corrupted eyes, all fixed on the huddled group. Starting with the children, the black dragon hissed, its gaze locking on Lyra and Selene. Kill the little ones first. Make the mother watch. Over my dead body, Arya snarled, her white wolf form blazing with power. That can be arranged, the dragon replied. They struck as one. 11 corrupted divine creatures, all attacking simultaneously. Arya's world became chaos. Claws and teeth and void corruption everywhere. She fought with everything she had, her white wolf power flaring, but there were too many. They were too strong. She felt Lyra take a claw to her shoulder. Felt Celine get slammed against the ocean floor. Felt Damien's aged body taking hits meant for the twins. Felt Orion's divine light flickering as void corruption tried to smother it. They were losing. Then Moira moved. The white dragon, bleeding, broken, barely conscious, threw herself over Arya's family one more time. 11 dragons struck her simultaneously, their claws tearing through her scales, their teeth finding flesh. No more. Moira's mental voice was weak but determined. You want them? Go through me. I'm your sister. Your family. Stop this. But the corrupted dragons didn't stop. They couldn't. Seraphina's commands and the void corruption had stolen their free will. They tore into Moira with savage efficiency. Arya felt it through their new soul bond, her daughter's pain, her fear, her stubborn refusal to move despite the agony. Moira, get out of there. Arya begged. No, Moira replied simply. Family protects family. You taught me that, Mom. The white dragon's blood, divine and pure, mixed with the corrupted void ichor of her siblings. Where the two substances met, something strange happened. The void corruption started to burn away. It was small at first. Just spots on the black dragon scales where Moira's blood touched, the wrongness fading. But then it spread. Moira's divine nature, uncorrupted, chosen freely, bonded to love instead of rage, was stronger than the void. One by one, the corrupted dragons faltered. The void poison eating their minds began to clear. They saw what they were doing. What they'd become. What they were doing to their sister. The black dragon was first to stop. It pulled back, horror dawning in its eyes. What did we? Sister, another dragon, the silver one, whispered. Sister, we hurt you. Moira's voice was weak. It's okay. Not your fault. Seraphina. The void. You didn't. She collapsed completely, her massive body going still. No. The black dragon's roar split the ocean. No, we didn't mean, we were, she made us. The corrupted dragons turned as one toward Seraphina. And for the first time, the woman who'd orchestrated everything looked afraid. Now, let's be reasonable, she started backing away. I was helping you. Teaching you. Making you strong. You used us, the black dragon snarled. Made us hurt our sister. Our family. Seraphina ran. But there was nowhere to go. 11 dragons, no longer fully corrupted, now just furious and betrayed, pursued her into the temple depths. Her screams echoed through the water. Then stopped abruptly. Silence fell over the battlefield. Arya rushed to Moira's side, her hands already glowing with healing power. But the damage was catastrophic. Wounds everywhere. Void corruption mixing with divine blood. Her daughter was dying. Don't you dare, Arya whispered, echoing Damien's words from earlier. Don't you dare leave me when I just found you. Moira's eyes cracked open, just slightly. Did I do good? Protected family? You did perfect, baby. So perfect. Arya's tears mixed with seawater. But you have to stay. You have to hold on. Please. Tired, Mom. So tired. I know. But we're going to fix this. Lyra, Arya looked desperately at her daughter. But Lyra was already there, her healing power flooding into Moira. Celine joined, adding her strength. Damien placed his aged hands on the white dragon scales, the five-fold bond pulling them all together. And Orion, little Orion who'd saved his father, toddled forward and placed both hands on Moira's massive head. Sister, stay, he commanded in his toddler voice. Light exploded from him again, and this time it was different. Purer. Stronger. The moon sun was claiming his sister, refusing to let her go. Moira's wounds began to close. The void corruption burned away under divine light. Her breathing steadied. She was going to live. But as the family held each other, as the danger passed, 11 dragons emerged from the temple. They were changed. The void corruption fading, their true natures beginning to show through. They were still malformed, still bearing scars of Seraphina's interference, but they were free. The black dragon approached cautiously, its head lowered in submission. "We are sorry. We hurt sister. Hurt you. We were enslaved," Arya finished gently. "Poisoned. Used. Just like Moira was supposed to be. The false mother is dead," the silver dragon reported. "We made sure. She will not hurt anyone again." "Good." Arya looked at the 11 dragons, her children, whether she'd birthed them or not. "What happens now? What do you want?" The dragons looked at each other, confusion evident. Then the black one spoke. "We were promised a mother. The elders lied. Seraphina lied. But Moira says you're real. That you choose family. Do you choose us?" A small green dragon asked, its voice young and frightened. "Even though we're broken? Even though we hurt people?" Arya looked at them. These malformed, traumatized creatures who'd been used as weapons before they'd even hatched. She looked at her family, battered and bleeding but alive. She looked at Moira, barely conscious but still protective. And she made her choice. "I choose you," she said firmly. "All of you. Every single one. You're my children now, whether you like it or not." The dragons stared at her. Then, one by one, they bowed their heads. "We choose you too," the black dragon said. "Mother." And deep in Arya's chest, the five-fold bond expanded again. Making room for 11 more souls. Making room for a family that kept growing despite, or maybe because of, all the impossibility. Chapter 6. The temple was collapsing. Not from age or erosion, but from the sheer force of 11 corrupted dragons battling within its ancient walls. Stone cracked. Pillars shattered. The ocean floor itself trembled under the weight of divine rage. Moira, weak, bleeding, but conscious, fought with everything she had. Her white scales were streaked with void ichor and her own blood. Every movement was agony, but she wouldn't stop. Couldn't stop. "Please," she begged her siblings, even as she fought them. "Please listen. We don't have to do this." But the corrupted dragons were beyond reason. Seraphina's commands and the void poison had stolen their ability to choose. They were weapons, nothing more. Ragnarok, the largest, black as midnight and size of a building, struck Moira with his tail. The white dragon slammed into a pillar, and the entire structure groaned. "We need to retreat," Cordelia shouted over the chaos. Her human form was fragile here, but her knowledge of magic was still vast. "The temple won't hold much longer. If it collapses with us inside, we'll be buried," Arya finished grimly. "Everyone, fall back. Deeper into the temple." "That's the wrong direction," Lucian protested, but he was already moving, carrying both Isidoras. "The temple has dragon rider chambers," Moira gasped, struggling to her feet. "From the first age. When dragons and land dwellers were allies. There might be," she coughed, void ichor spattering the water. "Might be something there to help." Cordelia's hands moved in complex patterns, and a shimmering barrier erupted between them and the corrupted dragons. It wouldn't hold long. Already, Ragnarok was slamming against it, his massive form making the magic crack. "Go," Cordelia commanded. "I'll hold them as long as I can." They ran, swam, through the temple's depths. The architecture was ancient, covered in symbols that predated even the elders. Dragon script, Arya realized. This place was older than the supernatural war, older than the division between species. This was from when they'd been united. The chamber they found was massive. And it was an armory. Suits of armor hung on the walls, not normal armor, but something else. The metal shimmered with an inner light, covered in runes that pulsed with power. Weapons too, blades, spears, shields, all bearing the same enchantments. Dragon rider gear, Moira whispered, awe in her voice despite her injuries. I thought it was myth. But it's real. They really did fight together once. Can we use it? Celine asked, already reaching for a sword sized perfectly for her teenage-appearing body. If it accepts you. Moira touched a piece of armor reverently. The gear bonds to those worthy. Those who understand what it meant to ride dragons. Partnership, not slavery. Trust, not domination. Arya placed her hand on a breastplate, and it flared with white light. The armor flowed onto her body like liquid metal, settling into place. It fit perfectly, moving with her, enhancing rather than restricting. One by one, the others were accepted. Damien, despite his aged body. The twins. Lucian and Victor. Even Kyle and the first pack warriors who'd fought their way into the chamber. But when Lily touched the armor, it rejected her. Sparked and pushed her away. Why? The Dampier asked, her voice small. Because you're already changing into something else, Cordelia said quietly, watching Lily with knowing eyes. The corrupted dragon blood in the water. You've been consuming it during the fight. It's reacting with your Dampier nature. Lily looked at her hands. The skin was starting to shimmer, scales appearing along her forearms. Her eyes flickered, brown to red to something else entirely. A slitted pupil, like a dragon's. What's happening to me? Fear crept into her voice. Evolution, Cordelia said. Or mutation. The line is blurry. Dampiers are already a hybrid of wolf and vampire. Add dragon blood, especially void-corrupted dragon blood, and what? Kyle demanded, moving to his daughter's side. What's happening to her? She's becoming something new. Cordelia's expression was clinical, fascinated. A draconic Dampier. Part wolf, part vampire, part dragon. She'll have abilities none of us can match, strength, speed, the ability to face those corrupted dragons on equal ground. At what cost? Kyle's voice shook. She's my daughter, not an experiment. The cost is her humanity, Cordelia said bluntly. Every transformation pushes her further from what she was. Eventually, she might not be able to come back. Lily looked at her father, and Arya saw the decision forming in the girl's eyes. The terrible, heroic choice she was about to make. Dad, Lily said quietly. I can fight them. Like this. I can protect you. No. Kyle grabbed her shoulders. Lily, please. Don't do this. We'll find another way. There is no other way. Lily's voice was gentle but firm. You know it. I know it. Those dragons out there are divine creatures corrupted by void energy. We need someone who can match that power. She smiled, and her teeth were sharper than they'd been a moment ago. I can be that someone. I can be the monster that fights monsters. You're not a monster, Kyle said desperately. You're my baby girl. You're both. Lily pulled free, moving toward the chamber entrance where corrupted dragon blood swirled in the water. I'm your daughter. And I'm choosing to be a monster to save the people I love. She drank deeply. The transformation was horrific and beautiful. Lily's body convulsed, bones cracking and reforming. Scales erupted across her skin, not dragon scales exactly, but something between wolf fur and dragon armor. Her hands became claws, wickedly sharp. Wings burst from her back, not full dragon wings, but vestigial ones, powerful enough to propel her through water at impossible speeds. When it was done, Lily was something the world had never seen. Draconic Dampier. A fusion of 3 species, all their strengths combined. Lily, Kyle whispered, staring at his transformed daughter. She looked at him with eyes that were still hers, still loving, still his child, despite everything else that had changed. I'm still me, Dad. I promise. I'm just, more now. Arya moved to Kyle's side, her hand on his shoulder. She's choosing to be a monster to protect the people she loves, she said softly. That's not corruption. That's heroism. Kyle's face crumpled, but he nodded. I know. I know. It's just hard to watch your child sacrifice themselves, Arya finished. I know. But that's what they do. Our children. They're braver than we ever were. Outside the chamber, Cordelia's barrier shattered. The corrupted dragons poured in, and there was nowhere left to run. We need a plan, Damien said, his aged hands gripping a dragon rider sword. I have one, Lyra said quietly. All eyes turned to her. What if we don't fight them? What if we heal them? They're corrupted by void energy, Lucian protested. Your healing doesn't work on void corruption. Not my healing alone. Lyra looked at her twin. But what if Selene and I work together? What if we treat the corruption like a disease? Diseases can be cured. Selene's eyes lit up with understanding. Cut out the infection while healing the damage. Combat and healing, synchronized perfectly. We'd have to touch them, Arya said slowly. Get close enough to make contact. While they're trying to kill us. Suicide mission, Victor said flatly. Only if we fail. Lyra's voice was calm, certain. But if we succeed, we save 11 children who were never given a choice. We break Seraphina's hold. We prove family is stronger than corruption. Arya looked at her daughter, 6 years old chronologically, appearing 14, speaking with the wisdom of someone ancient. When had her baby become so brave? Then we each take one, Arya decided. Pair up. Get close. Give Lyra and Selene the opening they need. I'll take 3, Lily said, her transformed voice layered, wolf and vampire and dragon combined. I can handle it. The assignments were made quickly. Arya and Moira would face Ragnarok, the largest. The black dragon whose size dwarfed even Moira. Damien and Selene would take Inferno, a red dragon that breathed fire even underwater through sheer magic. Lucian and Victor would face the twin ice dragons, Frost and Chill, whose scales radiated cold that could freeze even the ocean. Lyra and Isadora would confront Mindbreaker, a psychic dragon whose powers could shatter minds. Lily, in her new draconic form, would hold off 3 smaller dragons, Venom, Shadow, and Storm. Kyle and the first pack warriors would defend against the remaining 2, preventing them from overwhelming the others. It was insane. They were splitting their forces against overwhelming odds. It was also their only chance. For family, Arya said, and her white wolf power flared. For family, her children echoed. They charged. Arya versus Ragnarok. The black dragon was massive, easily 50 feet long, with scales that absorbed light. His eyes were pure void, empty of everything except hunger and rage. You dare face me, little wolf? His mental voice was like stone grinding. I am Apocalypse made flesh. I am the end of worlds. You're a child, Arya said calmly, her white wolf form blazing with power. A scared, hurt child who was poisoned before you even hatched. Lies. Ragnarok lunged, his jaws wide enough to swallow her whole. Arya dodged, and Moira struck from the side, her white scales flashing. Together, they danced around the massive dragon, neither strong enough to hurt him but fast enough to evade. Let me show you something, Arya said. She reached through the strange connection all dragons seemed to share, projecting memories. Her wedding. Damien's rejection. Running through the forest, bleeding and pregnant. You were abandoned too, Ragnarok's voice held surprise. You were thrown away. Yes. And I survived. I built something beautiful from the ashes. More memories. The twins' birth. Meeting Kyle. Building her territory. Creating family from broken pieces. But you had others. You weren't alone. For the first time, something other than rage colored Ragnarok's voice. Loneliness. I hatched in darkness. Alone. With only Seraphina's lies for comfort. You're not alone now, Arya said gently. You have siblings. You have Moira, who's fought her own corruption to protect you. You have me, if you'll accept me. Why would you want me? Ragnarok's attacks slowed. I'm monstrous. Corrupted. Broken. So am I, Arya said. So are we all. That's what makes us family. Damien and Selene versus Inferno. The red dragon breathed fire that boiled the ocean itself. Damien's aged body was slow, but his alpha instincts were sharp. Left, he shouted, and Selene dodged right, the two of them moving in perfect synchronization. Through their new five-fold bond, they felt each other's intentions before the movements happened. Father and daughter, fighting as one. Now. Selene struck, her combat instincts finding the weak point between Inferno's scales. Not to kill, just to distract. Damien followed, his sword, ancient dragon rider steel, finding purchase. Inferno roared, pain cutting through the void corruption for just a moment. In that moment, the dragon saw them. Really saw them. You fight together, Inferno said, confused. The corruption says you're enemies. That all land dwellers betray each other. The corruption lies, Damien said, his aged voice firm. This is my daughter. I would die for her. She would die for me. That's family. Selene grinned, fierce and proud. We're a package deal. Always have been. Something in Inferno cracked. The void corruption, fed by isolation and lies, couldn't stand against the truth of their bond. Lucian and Victor versus Frost and Chill. The twin ice dragons moved as one, their attacks perfectly coordinated. They reminded Lucian painfully of himself and his brother, what they'd been before ideology divided them. Like old times, Victor said, reading his thoughts. Like old times, Lucian agreed. They fought as they had centuries ago, before the Elders' lies had torn them apart. Two halves of a whole, each knowing what the other would do before they did it. Frost struck high, Chill struck low. But the brothers were ready, Lucian went high, Victor went low, their movements mirror images. You're twins, Frost said, her voice carrying wonder beneath the corruption. Like us. Yes, Lucian said. And we were torn apart by people who feared unity. Don't let that happen to you. We don't want to be separated, Chill added, his voice young and frightened. But the corruption, it burns. It hurts. It makes us angry at everything. Then let us help you, Victor said. Let us show you what family really means. Lyra and Isadora versus Mindbreaker. The psychic battle was invisible but devastating. Mindbreaker's power slammed into Lyra's mind like a battering ram, trying to shatter her sense of self. You're weak, the dragon hissed. A healer. Soft. Useless. I'm kind, Lyra corrected, her empathic powers rising to meet the assault. There's a difference. She showed Mindbreaker her own memories. Every person she'd healed. Every soul she'd touched. Every moment of compassion and connection. This is torture, Mindbreaker said, but his voice held wonder. You let yourself feel their pain. Why would you do that? Because someone has to, Lyra said simply. Because feeling pain means I can help heal it. Isadora joined the psychic link, adding her own memories. 300 years of captivity. 50 years in Marcus's cages. And then, freedom. Salvation. Love from a father who'd never stopped searching for her. You were alone, Mindbreaker whispered. For so long. But someone came for you. Yes, Isadora said. And now we're coming for you. All of you. Because that's what family does. Lily's sacrifice. Lily faced 3 dragons alone, and she was magnificent. Her draconic Dampier form moved with impossible grace, wolf agility, vampire speed, dragon strength, all fused into something unprecedented. She dodged Venom's poisonous breath, parried Shadow's darkness attacks, and absorbed Storm's lightning with her partially draconic scales. But 3 against 1 was still overwhelming. Venom's fangs found her shoulder. Shadow's claws raked her back. Storm's lightning burned through her defenses. She was dying, and she knew it. Dad, she called, her voice weak. I'm sorry. I tried. Lily. Kyle's anguished scream echoed through the temple. But Lily wasn't done yet. With the last of her strength, she wrapped herself around all 3 dragons, holding them in place. Lyra, she shouted. Now. Lyra's empathic power exploded outward, touching all the corrupted dragons simultaneously. Not attacking, not forcing, just showing them truth. Mindbreaker, already weakened by their psychic battle, was first to receive it. And what he saw shattered the void corruption like glass. Family. Real family. Not Seraphina's lies or the Elder's manipulation. Actual love, freely given and freely received. Arya, rejected and broken, building something beautiful. Damien and Selene, father and daughter fighting as one. Lucian and Victor, brothers reunited after centuries of division. Lyra herself, healing despite the pain it caused her. Lily, sacrificing her humanity to protect her father. And Moira, fighting her own siblings to defend the family that had chosen her. This is real, Mindbreaker whispered. This is what the elders feared. What Seraphina tried to destroy. He reached out with his psychic powers, amplifying Lyra's empathy. Showing every corrupted dragon the truth simultaneously. One by one, they stopped fighting. Ragnarok pulled back from Arya, confusion and wonder in his void-touched eyes. Inferno's flames died out as he stared at Damien and Selene. Frost and Chill stopped their assault on Lucian and Victor, their twin bond recognizing another. Venom, Shadow, and Storm released Lily, horror dawning as they realized what they'd done. The void corruption screamed as it was pushed back. Not destroyed, that would take time, healing, effort, but weakened. Broken. 11 dragons, freed from Seraphina's control, turned to look at Arya. And as one, they bowed. Mother, Ragnarok's voice echoed through all their minds. We choose you. Teach us what family means. Arya's throat tightened with emotion. I will. I promise. All of you. No. Seraphina's scream split the ocean. She emerged from the temple's deepest chamber, her form flickering, not quite solid, not quite spirit. The execution had damaged her worse than Arya realized. She was barely holding herself together through sheer will and hatred. You can't have them. Seraphina shrieked. They're mine. The elders created them for me. Everything was supposed to be mine. Her hands moved in desperate patterns, pulling on the last reserves of eldritch magic still lingering in the temple. A portal opened, swirling void energy, darker than anything Uldrich had wielded. This wasn't just a gateway. This was an ending. If I can't win, Seraphina laughed, madness complete, I'll end everything. I'll bring back the void. I'll summon what even the elders feared. And I'll watch you all burn. The portal expanded, sucking in water, debris, anything not anchored. Through it, Arya glimpsed something that made her blood freeze. Not Uldrich. Something older. Something that made the void dragons look like children's toys. We have to close it. Cordelia shouted. Before whatever's on the other side comes through. How? Lucian demanded. Someone has to enter it. Disrupt the spell from inside. Cordelia's face was pale. It's a death sentence. The void will consume whoever goes through. Damien looked at the portal, at his family, at Arya. Through their five-fold bond, she felt his decision before he made it. No, she said. Damien, no, please. Protect our children, he said simply. He kissed her, desperate, loving, final. I love you. I've always loved you. From the moment our bond clicked, through 6 years apart, through everything. You're my true mate, Arya. My only mate. Then don't leave me. Arya grabbed his armor, her white wolf strength making the metal creak. We just got the five-fold bond. We just became whole. Don't. I'm not leaving. He cupped her face, and she saw tears in his eyes. I'm saving. There's a difference. He looked at his daughters, Lyra and Selene, both crying. At Orion, who'd toddled forward with cosmic understanding in his eyes. At Moira and the 11 other dragons who were watching with confusion and newfound emotion. Take care of your mother, Damien told them. All of you. She's going to need you. Then he turned and ran for the portal. Damien. Arya's scream split the ocean. He dove into the void. The portal convulsed, Seraphina's spell disrupted from within. Arya felt it through their mate bond, felt Damien's presence stretching, thinning, but not breaking. He was alive. In agony, trapped in a dimension of pure void, but alive. The portal collapsed with a sound like reality tearing. Silence fell. Seraphina laughed, the sound broken and triumphant. Enjoy your victory, Luna Queen. You've defeated me. You've saved your dragons. You've won. Her form flickered, fading. But you've lost him. Your mate. Trapped in the void forever. And even if he survives, even if he doesn't go mad from the isolation, her smile was pure poison. You'll never get him back. The void doesn't give up what it takes. She disappeared completely, her laughter echoing. Arya stood frozen, her hand pressed to her chest where the mate bond stretched like an overtaxed thread. Damien was there, distant, in pain, terrified, but there. Mom, Lyra whispered. We'll get him back, Arya said, her voice empty. We'll find a way. We have to. How? Selene asked, her fierce warrior daughter actually crying. The portal's closed. The void is. I don't know. Arya looked at her assembled family, her daughters, her son, her 12 dragons, her allies. But we will. Because that's what we do. We survive the impossible. But as she spoke the words, feeling Damien's distant agony through their bond, she wondered if even she believed them this time. Chapter 7. Arya couldn't move. She stood in the collapsed temple chamber, her hand pressed to her chest where the mate bond stretched like a thread pulled too tight. Through it, she felt Damien, distant, terrified, in agony. Alive, but barely. Mom. Lyra's voice was small, broken. Mom, please say something. Arya couldn't. Words required thought, and thought required accepting that Damien was gone. Trapped in a dimension of pure void. Suffering in ways she could feel but couldn't help. Selene was crying, actually crying. The fierce warrior daughter who never showed weakness was sobbing into Kyle's shoulder. We have to get him back. We have to. There's no way. Lucian's voice was hollow. The portal is closed. The void doesn't have doorways. It just is. No. The word came out of Arya without conscious thought. No. He's alive. I can feel him. We're getting him back. Arya, Kyle started gently. I said an O. Her white wolf power flared, making everyone step back. I didn't survive 6 years alone, didn't fight through rejection and war and void dragons, to lose him now. We're getting him back. How? It was Moira who asked, her white scales still streaked with blood from the earlier battle. The portal can be opened again. Arya's eyes fixed on Cordelia. You said Serafina opened it using eldritch magic. That means it can be replicated. Theoretically, Cordelia said carefully. But we'd need someone who knows the spell. Someone who studied eldritch magic extensively. Someone like Morgana, Arya finished. As if summoned, the ancient witch appeared in a swirl of displaced water. She wasn't alone. With her came representatives from every faction in the supernatural world. Vampires, witches, fae, even a delegation from the dragon territories. I felt the void portal open, Morgana said without preamble. Her dark face was grave. And I felt it close with something living still inside. Damien. Arya's voice cracked on his name. He's trapped. How long? She couldn't finish. The void is an anti-realm, Morgana said gently. A place where existence itself is consumed. Nothing living can survive there long. The void feeds on life force, draining it until nothing remains. She paused. In normal circumstances, I'd say hours. But Damien has the five-fold bond. Your connection, your children's power, it's keeping him anchored. That buys us time. How much? 48 hours. Maybe less. Morgana's expression was sympathetic. After that, the void will have consumed enough of him that bringing him back would be complicated. Then we have 48 hours to mount a rescue. Arya's voice was steel. Can you open a portal? I can try. But it would take time to research the spell, gather the components. We don't have time. Then we use the person who already knows the spell. Morgana's eyes were calculating. Where is Serafina? They'd imprisoned her in the temple's deepest chamber, bound in chains forged from dragon rider steel. Serafina looked worse than when she disappeared. Her form flickering between solid and spirit, her eyes wild with madness and grief. When she saw Arya, she laughed. Come to gloat? Serafina's voice was raw. Come to watch me die? Because I am dying, Luna Queen. Opening that portal used the last of my stolen eldritch magic. I'm fading. In a few hours, I'll be gone completely. Good, Selene snarled. You deserve worse. Probably. Serafina's smile was broken. But at least I took something from you first. Your mate. Trapped. Suffering. Dying slowly in the void. She leaned forward, chains rattling. Can you feel it, Arya? Can you feel him screaming? Arya moved faster than thought. Her hands wrapped around Serafina's throat, squeezing. Open the portal. Now. Or what? You'll kill me? Serafina laughed even as she choked. I'm already dead. And when I'm gone, the knowledge of how to open that portal dies with me. Then I'll make your last hours agony. Arya's eyes flashed white, her power pressing against Serafina's fragmenting soul. Mom, stop. Lyra grabbed Arya's arm. Please. This isn't you. She killed him. She's killing herself, Lyra corrected. And we need her. She opened the portal. She can do it again. Arya released Serafina, who collapsed against the chains, gasping. You want me to help? Serafina laughed bitterly. Why would I do that? You've taken everything from me. Why would I give you back what I took from you? Because you loved him once, Lyra said quietly. Everyone turned to stare at the young girl. I can feel it, Lyra continued, her empathic powers reaching towards Serafina. Underneath all the hate and madness. There was a time when you really loved Damien. Before the obsession. Before the elders corrupted you. You loved him. Love? Serafina's voice broke. I destroyed myself for that love. I poisoned Arya. Manipulated the pack. Became a monster. All for love. No. Lyra stepped closer, fearless despite Serafina's power. You did those things for possession. For control. Real love, the kind you felt at the beginning, wouldn't have hurt anyone. Serafina was silent. Then, in a voice so small it was barely audible, I remember. Before the elders found me. Before they showed me how to use dark magic. I remember seeing Damien at a pack gathering and thinking he was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. What would that version of you do? Lyra asked gently. The one who loved him before it twisted into obsession. What would she do now? Tears streamed down Serafina's flickering face. She would let him go. She would want him to be happy, even if it wasn't with her. Then be her, Lyra urged. One last time. Be the person you were before everything went wrong. Serafina looked at Arya, really looked at her. I've become the monster, haven't I? Not you. Me. Arya wanted to rage, to scream, to make Serafina suffer for every moment of pain she'd caused. But through the mate bond, she felt Damien's agony intensifying. They didn't have time for vengeance. Help us save him, Arya said. No deals. No bargains. Just, do one good thing before you die. Serafina laughed, but it was different now. Sad instead of mad. One good thing. After a lifetime of terrible ones. She nodded slowly. All right. I'll open the portal. But it will kill me. Opening it once nearly destroyed me. Doing it again will finish the job. I know, Arya said quietly. Good. Serafina stood, her chains falling away. She'd been able to break free the whole time, Arya realized. She'd stayed imprisoned by choice. Then let's save your mate. My Damien. The man I loved before I learned to hate. The rescue team assembled quickly. Arya, obviously. Wild horses couldn't keep her from going. Moira insisted on coming. You're my mother. He's my father now, through the fivefold bond. I'm not staying behind. The 11 other dragons, now freed from corruption, bonded to Arya, refused to be separated from their mother. Lyra stepped forward. I can track him. Through our bond, through my empathy. I can guide us to where he is. Then I'm coming too, Selene said immediately. We're a package deal. Arya started to protest. They were her babies, they'd been through enough, but Orion toddled forward before she could speak. Daddy needs me, the 2-year-old said, his cosmic eyes serious. Sister Fire is waking. But Daddy needs me more. Sister Fire? Morgana's head snapped up. What do you mean? But there was no time. Through the mate bond, Arya felt Damien's presence dimming. They had hours left, not days. Everyone coming, get ready, she commanded. We leave now. Serafina stood at the center of the temple chamber, her form barely solid now. She'd been beautiful once, Arya thought. Before hate had consumed her. I need blood, Serafina said. From the Luna Queen. The portal will open to where she wants to go most. Where her heart is. Arya didn't hesitate. She sliced her palm, letting blood flow into Serafina's cupped hands. Tell him, Serafina's voice caught. Tell Damien I'm sorry. For all of it. For the poison. For the manipulation. For loving him so badly that I destroyed us both. I will, Arya promised. Serafina began to chant in languages that predated wolves, predated vampires, predated everything but the void itself. Her form burned, her stolen magic consuming what was left of her essence. The portal opened, swirling darkness that hurt to look at. It won't stay open long. Serafina screamed over the sound of reality tearing. Go. Go now. Arya dove through. Behind her, she heard her children, her dragons, her family following. The last thing she heard was Seraphina's voice, fading. "I'm sorry, Damien. I hope you find happiness with her. You deserved better than what I became." Then the portal swallowed them whole. The void was worse than any nightmare. It wasn't darkness. Darkness implied the absence of light. This was the absence of everything. Color, sound, sensation, even the concept of existence itself seemed to dissolve. Arya felt herself starting to come apart, her consciousness fragmenting. Then Orion's light flared. The Munson's divine nature pushed back the void, creating a bubble of existence around their group. "Stay close," he said in his toddler voice that somehow carried divine authority. "Void hungry. Eats everything." They moved through the anti-realm, and Arya saw things that made her wolf whimper. Failed timelines, worlds where the elders won, where Arya died at the altar, where her children were never born. They flickered like ghost images, showing what might have been. Dead possibilities. Potential futures that would never exist, consumed by the void before they could manifest. And souls. So many souls. Beings who'd been trapped here, their essence slowly devoured until nothing remained but screaming emptiness. "This way," Lyra said, her eyes glowing silver. "I can feel Dad. He's fighting." They followed her guidance deeper into the void. And they weren't alone. Void creatures emerged from the nothingness, things without form or name, existing only to consume. They attacked with hunger that transcended physical need. The dragons fought back. Ragnarok, the massive black dragon who'd bowed to Arya, took point, his size making him a living shield. One by one, the dragons fell. Inferno took a hit meant for Selene, his red scales dimming as void corruption consumed him. "Protect, Mother," were his last words. The twin ice dragons, Frost and Chill, sacrificed themselves to freeze a massive void entity, giving the group time to escape. Mindbreaker used his psychic powers to shield Lyra's mind from void madness, burning out his own consciousness in the process. Venom, Shadow, and Storm formed a rear guard, holding off pursuers until they were overwhelmed. By the time they neared Damien's location, only Moira and Ragnarok remained of the 12 dragons. "Keep going," Ragnarok commanded, his voice weak. "We'll hold them here." "No," Arya started. "Protect our mother," Moira said, looking at Arya with love that broke her heart. "That's what family does." The two dragons turned to face the void's infinite hunger, buying time with their lives. Arya ran, her heart shattering, but she ran. She found Damien at the center of a maelstrom of void energy. He was barely recognizable. His body was more void than flesh, his form flickering between solid and shadow. Silver streaks ran through his hair. One eye had gone completely black, not void corruption exactly, but forever marked by this place. He was fighting. Even here, even dying, he was fighting. Void demons surrounded him, and he tore through them with claws and teeth and pure alpha will. "Damien!" Arya screamed. He turned, and his remaining amber eye focused on her. "No. No, you're not real. The void shows me what I want. You're not." Arya crashed into him, her lips finding his. The mate bond exploded between them, not the stretched, agonized connection of the past hours, but full and strong and undeniable. "I'm real," she gasped against his mouth. "I'm here. We came for you." "Arya?" His voice broke. "But the portal, how did you?" "Seraphina," Lyra said, appearing beside them with Selene. "She opened it. Sacrificed herself to give us a way in." Damien looked stunned. "Why would she?" "Because the person she used to be still loved you," Arya said. "Before everything went wrong. She wanted you to be happy." The twins placed their hands on their father, the five-fold bond activating. But it wasn't enough. The void had sunk too deep, corrupted too much. Then Orion stepped forward. The 2-year-old's cosmic eyes were blazing like stars. "Daddy, stay," he commanded. Divine light poured from his small body, pure creation confronting absolute destruction. The void screamed as Orion's power burned through it. The corruption consuming Damien began to retreat, pushed back by the Munson's will. But it left scars. When Damien's form finally stabilized, he was changed. The silver streaks in his hair were permanent. His left eye remained void black, though his consciousness was his own. He would carry the marks of this place forever. "We're real, Dad," Selene said, her fierce voice shaking. "We came for you. Family doesn't abandon family." Damien pulled his daughters close, then Arya, then Orion. The 5-fold bond pulsed between them, stronger than ever. "I saw things," Damien whispered. "Terrible things. The void isn't just a place. It's alive. Conscious. And it's planning something. Something that will." The void itself attacked. Not void creatures. The void itself, the anti-realm, the absence that consumed all existence. It rose up like a wave, trying to drag them down, to keep them forever. "Run." Moira's voice echoed through the emptiness. Arya looked back to see both dragons, Moira and Ragnarok, standing at the edge of a chasm, holding open a tear in reality. The portal home. Tempest. Arya used Moira's true name without thinking. "No, come with us." "Can't," Moira said, and her mental voice was peaceful. "Portal needs anchor. Needs power. Needs sacrifice. I won't leave you. You're not leaving." Ragnarok's voice was firm. "We're choosing. Like you taught us. Family protects family." The void wave was seconds away. "Go." Moira screamed. "Protect our mother, Selene. Protect our father, Lyra. Protect our brother, Orion. Make our sacrifice mean something." Damien grabbed Arya, pulling her toward the portal even as she fought him. The last thing Arya saw was her first dragon child, Moira, Tempest, her beautiful white dragon, smiling as the void consumed her. "I love you, Mom." Then they were through. They emerged in the ocean temple, hitting the floor hard. The portal collapsed behind them, severing the connection to the void forever. Silence. Arya couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Moira was gone. Ragnarok was gone. 9 of her 12 dragons, dead in the void. Damien held her as she screamed, his own grief pouring through their bond. The twins collapsed, feeling the severance of bonds they'd barely had time to form. "She chose," Lyra sobbed. "She chose to save us." "That's what heroes do," Selene said, tears streaming down her face. "But it still hurts." Kyle found them like that, a family shattered by grief but whole again. "Damien," he breathed. "You're alive." "Barely." Damien's voice was rough, his void-marked eye weeping black tears. "The cost was worth it," Arya said fiercely, pulling him closer. "We got you back. That's what matters." But even as she said it, she felt the wrongness. Felt the void's touch still clinging to Damien. He was alive, but he'd been changed. They all had. Morgana appeared, her face grave. "The void portal's opening has had consequences. My scrying detected." She stopped, looking at Orion. The toddler had gone very still, his cosmic eyes distant. "Sister," he whispered. "Sister Fire. She's burning. She's scared. She's..." Power exploded through the temple. Not void power. Fire power. Somewhere, deep in the earth, volcanic activity was spiking. Arya felt it through some new connection she didn't understand. A voice echoed in her mind, young, terrified, burning, "Mother? Please, I'm so hot. It hurts. Make it stop. Make it stop." The fire element, Morgana said urgently. It's waking. Mount Vesuvius, volcanic activity is off the charts. Something is being born there. What kind of something? Lucian asked. A phoenix dragon hybrid. Morgana's eyes were wide. Fire and rebirth combined. If it hatches wrong, if no one is there to guide it, she swallowed hard. The eruption will destroy Italy. Maybe more. How long? Arya asked, though she already knew the answer would be terrible. 24 hours. Maybe less. Arya looked at her family. Damien, barely recovered, marked by the void forever. Her twins, exhausted and grief-stricken. Orion, divine but still just 2 years old. The 3 remaining dragons, Venom, Shadow, and Storm, who'd somehow survived. They'd just lost 9 children. Just escaped the void. Just brought Damien back from the brink. And now another child was calling for her. Another impossible rescue. Another sacrifice waiting to happen. We can't, Selene said quietly. Mom, we can't. We have to, Arya replied, her voice empty. That's our daughter too. Fire. The 4th element. We can't abandon her. You need rest, Khal protested. All of you. This is. An alert sounded. Every supernatural being in the chamber felt it, a spike of volcanic energy so massive it registered across the globe. Mount Vesuvius just had a major tremor, Morgana reported, checking her magical instruments. The Phoenix Dragon is accelerating. We don't have 24 hours. We have 12. Then we leave in 1 hour, Arya said. She looked at Damien, at her children, at her remaining dragons. I know you're tired. I know we're broken. But there's a child out there who's terrified and alone. And she's calling for us. She's calling for you, Damien corrected, his void black eye gleaming. You're the mother of elements. The White Wolf. The Luna Queen. They're all your children. All of them. Then I'm not abandoning another one, Arya said firmly. Who's with me? Slowly, one by one, they stood. Broken, grieving, exhausted, but standing. Always, Lyra said. Package deal, Selene added. Daddy goes, I go, Orion declared. The 3 remaining dragons bowed. We follow our mother. To the end. Damien kissed Arya gently. To the end. And whatever comes after. They had 12 hours to reach Mount Vesuvius. 12 hours to save the fire element before her birth destroyed half of Europe. And as they prepared to leave, none of them noticed the small crack forming in the void-marked eye of Damien Blackwood. A crack that whispered in voices older than time, we're coming. The void remembers. And the void always collects its debts. The race against time had begun. Chapter 8. The exhaustion was bone deep. Arya sat in the makeshift medical bay they'd set up in the temple, watching healers tend to her family. Damien lay unconscious, his void-marked eye twitching beneath closed lids. The twins were curled together on a cot, too drained even to cry anymore. Orion had finally stopped glowing, his divine light dimmed to embers. And the 3 remaining dragons, Venom, Shadow, and Storm, lay in the corner, their scales dull with grief. 9 dragons dead. Moira, her first dragon child, her brave Tempest, gone forever. You need to rest. Kyle's voice was gentle. He'd been a rock through everything, and now he looked almost as worn as she felt. I can't. Arya pressed her hand to her chest where a new ache had started. Different from the mate bond, different from the 5-fold bond. This was something else. She's calling for me. The fire element, Morgana said quietly, appearing from the shadows. I'm monitoring the volcanic activity. Mount Vesuvius is becoming more unstable by the hour. Through that strange new connection, Arya felt her. The child trapped in fire, burning and terrified. Mother, please. It hurts so much. Why does it hurt? We just got back, Celine said, her voice rough. Mom, we almost died. Dad almost, we can't just. She's your sister, Arya said simply. Another element. Another child who needs us. We've lost one child already. Damien's voice made everyone turn. He was awake, sitting up despite the healer's protests. His void-black eye fixed on Arya, and she saw understanding there. We won't lose another. You need to recover, Arya started. So do you. So do all of us. Damien stood on shaking legs, crossing to her. But that child doesn't have time for us to be ready. So we do what we always do. We go anyway. Through their bond, Arya felt his determination, his love, his fierce protective instinct for children he'd never met. We split up, she decided. I'll take Lyra and the 3 dragons to Vesuvius. Damien, you stay here with Celine and Orion. Defend our territory in case anything else decides to attack while we're vulnerable. I don't like it, Damien said, but he nodded. But you're right. We're spread too thin to all go. He pulled her close, kissing her hard. Come back to me. Both of you. All of you. Always, Arya promised. Kyle stepped forward. Lily and I will coordinate with Lucian. We'll prepare evacuation protocols for Italy, just in case the eruption can't be stopped. The eruption can be stopped, Lyra said quietly. Everyone looked at the young girl who appeared 14 but spoke with ancient wisdom. I've been feeling her too. The fire child. She doesn't want to destroy. She's just scared. Alone. She thinks the pain will stop if she just releases everything. Then we don't let her release it, Arya said firmly. We save her. Mount Vesuvius was hell made manifest. Even from miles away, Arya could see the glow, angry red against the twilight sky. Ash rained down like black snow, covering everything in a layer of volcanic debris. The volcano hasn't erupted like this in centuries, Cordelia said. The former sea which had insisted on coming, her human knowledge of magic still valuable. The pressure building inside, it's not natural. It's being generated by the Phoenix Dragon. How close can we get? Arya asked. With dragon flight? Right into the caldera. Cordelia's expression was grim. But the heat will be, Arya, even with magical protection, we might not survive the descent. Then we don't survive, Lyra said calmly. But we try anyway. That's what family does. Arya looked at her daughter, her gentle, empathic healer, and felt pride war with terror. When had her babies become so brave? Venom, the green dragon whose poison had once threatened them, lowered his head. Climb on, mother. We'll carry you down. The 3 dragons, Venom, Shadow, and Storm, had bonded fiercely to Arya after losing their siblings. They were smaller than Moira had been, but their determination was absolute. Arya and Lyra climbed onto Venom's back, with Shadow and Storm flanking them. Cordelia used her remaining magical knowledge to weave protective barriers around them all. This is insane, Cordelia muttered. Welcome to the family, Lyra said with a small smile. They dove. The heat was immediate and crushing. Even through Cordelia's shields, Arya felt her skin blistering. The air itself was fire, turning their lungs to ash with every breath. Lyra's healing power flared, keeping them alive through sheer will. They descended through smoke and flame, through ash clouds thick enough to blot out the sun. The caldera opened beneath them. A wound in the earth, bleeding magma. And at the center, floating in a pool of molten rock, was an egg. It was massive, easily the size of a car. The shell looked like cooled lava, black and red and cracked with internal fire. And from those cracks, flames poured out, not normal fire, but something hotter, brighter, almost alive. Mother? The voice was young, feminine, desperate. Mother, is that you? Please, please make it stop burning. We're here, baby, Arya called. Hold on. We're coming for you. The egg cracked. Fire exploded outward in a wave that would have vaporized them if the dragons hadn't shielded them with their bodies. Venom screamed as his scales blackened, but he held position. From the flames emerged a phoenix dragon. She was smaller than Moira had been, maybe the size of a large horse. Her scales were molten, shifting between gold and red and white hot. Wings of pure flame spread from her back, beautiful and terrible. Her eyes were amber like Damien's, but they held firelight instead of wolf gold. And she was crying. Tears of liquid flame ran down her face as she looked at them. I'm sorry, she sobbed, her voice like crackling embers. I didn't mean to, the heat, it just keeps, I can't stop it. I can't stop. It's okay, Arya said gently, even as the heat from the phoenix dragon's body made her protective barriers waver. We're here to help. You can't help. Every time I feel anything, I burn things. The phoenix dragon, barely hatched, already traumatized, curled in on herself. I tried to touch the stone. It melted. I tried to cool down in the magma. It made it hotter. I'm a monster. I'm going to kill everyone. Please, her voice broke. Please just let me die. It's better if I don't exist. No. Lyra's voice was firm. She slid off Venom's back, standing on a small ridge of cooled lava. You're not a monster. You're my sister. And we don't give up on family. Sister? The phoenix dragon's fiery eyes widened. Earth, sky, water, fire, and spirit, Lyra recited. The 5 elements. You're fire. I'm earth. We're meant to be together. But I'll burn you. You need balance, Lyra said, her healer's mind working. Fire needs water. Cordelia. The former sea witch understood immediately. She began chanting, pulling moisture from the air itself, from underground springs, from everywhere and nowhere. Water coalesced around them, forming a massive sphere. This is going to hurt, Cordelia warned. For all of us. But especially for her. Arya understood. Fire and water, meeting violently. The steam explosion would be catastrophic. Do it, she commanded. Cordelia released the water. It crashed over the phoenix dragon like a tidal wave. The scream that followed wasn't just sound, it was pain made audible, fire dying, agony beyond words. Steam exploded outward, superheated and deadly. Arya felt her skin cook even through the barriers. Lyra collapsed, her healing power struggling to keep them alive. But when the steam cleared, the phoenix dragon was still there. Smaller now. Cooler. Her molten scales had solidified into something between metal and gemstone, gold and red and orange, beautiful instead of terrifying. Her flame wings had dimmed to a gentle glow. And she was shaking. I'm sorry, she whimpered. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Arya moved without thinking. She walked across the cooling lava, ignoring the pain as her boots burned, and wrapped her arms around the phoenix dragon's neck. The heat was intense. Her skin blistered immediately. But Arya held on. You're not a weapon, she said firmly. You're my daughter. And we're going to teach you control. Together. As a family. The phoenix dragon went very still. Then, tentatively, she leaned into the embrace. And something miraculous happened. Her internal temperature dropped. Not extinguished. She was fire, that was her nature, but controlled. Banked instead of blazing. The mother-child bond formed between them, a connection as real as the 5-fold bond but different. Unique to this child, this element. What's your name? Lyra asked gently, joining the embrace despite her own burns. I don't, the elders didn't, I don't have one. Then we'll give you one, Arya said. She pulled back, looking at this beautiful creature who'd been born in pain and fear. Ember. Because you're the warmth that keeps us alive, not the fire that destroys. Because even when banked low, you never go out. The phoenix dragon, Ember, tested the name. Ember. I'm Ember. You're our sister, Lyra corrected with a smile. And we're taking you home. The flight back was slow. Ember was weak from her forced cooling, and the 3 dragons were injured from shielding them. But they made it, landing in Arya's territory just as dawn broke. Damien was waiting, Selene and Orion flanking him. The remaining 6 dragons, the ones who'd stayed behind to guard, formed a protective perimeter. You brought her back, Damien breathed, looking at Ember. Always. Arya slid off Venom's back, wincing as her burned skin protested. Damien, this is Ember. Our daughter. The fire element. Ember shrank back, her temperature spiking nervously. I'm dangerous. I hurt people. Sister. Orion's shout cut through her panic. The 2-year-old toddler ran forward with the fearlessness only divine beings possessed. He threw his tiny arms around Ember's foreleg. Everyone held their breath. But Orion's divine light met Ember's fire, and instead of burning or exploding, they balanced. His cool starlight and her warm flames created perfect equilibrium. Ember stared down at the glowing child hugging her, wonder in her eyes. I'm not burning you. Course not, Orion said matter-of-factly. You're my sister. Sisters don't burn brothers. Slowly, carefully, the others approached. Selene first, fearless as always. Then Lyra with her gentle healing hands. Then Damien, his void-marked eye seeing the fear and pain Ember carried. I know what it's like, Damien said quietly, kneeling before the phoenix dragon. To fear your own power. To think you're more monster than person. He gestured to his void black eye. This mark? It's from a place of pure destruction. Every day I worry it'll consume me. But my family helps me stay grounded. Let us help you. Ember's flame wings flickered. You teach me? Even though I'm perfect exactly as you are, Arya finished. Come on. Let's get you home properly. The weeks that followed were a revelation. Damien found purpose in training Ember. His own trauma from the void gave him insight into her struggles. Together, they developed exercises for emotional control, not suppressing her fire, but channeling it. Selene taught Ember combat techniques, showing her that power could be precise instead of overwhelming. Lyra worked on emotional regulation, using her empathy to help Ember understand that feelings didn't have to equal destruction. And the 9 dragons taught her to fly, to trust her flame wings, to soar without fear of burning the sky itself. Slowly, impossibly, Ember bloomed. She was gentle by nature, Arya discovered. Despite her immense power, Ember's first instinct was always kindness. She worried about hurting others, about being too much, about taking up too much space. You remind me of Lyra, Arya told her one evening, watching Ember carefully warm a group of orphaned wolf pups without singeing their fur. Really? Ember's voice was hopeful. But Lyra's so good. So perfect. I'm just my daughter, Arya interrupted. Just like Lyra. Just like Selene, Orion, and all the dragons. You're exactly who you're supposed to be. Ember's internal temperature dropped to a comfortable warmth, the dragon equivalent of a contented purr. 3 months after Ember's rescue, Morgana arrived with news. There's one element left, the ancient witch said, spreading scrolls across Arya's desk. Spirit. But I've searched everywhere. Scried across continents. Consulted with seers from a dozen traditions. And I can't find it. What do you mean? Arya asked. The spirit element should be manifesting somewhere. A creature, a being, something that represents the balance between all the others. Morgana's frustration was evident. But there's nothing. It's like it doesn't exist yet. Arya pressed her hand to her chest, feeling for that pull she'd experienced with the other elements. Water had called from the ocean. Fire from the volcano. But this pull was different. Internal instead of external. Close instead of distant. Maybe it does exist, she said slowly. Just not where we're looking. That night, Arya dreamed. She stood in a place between places, half void, half light. Neither existing nor not existing. And there, floating in that impossible space, were two children. A boy and a girl, holding hands. The boy was made of shadow and starlight, his form flickering like Damien's void-marked eye. The girl was pure radiance, glowing like Orion but softer, gentler. Apart, they screamed and reality warped around them. Together, they were perfectly still, perfectly balanced. Mother, they said in unison. We're waiting. But we can't come until the void marks you too. Arya woke with a gasp. Damien was immediately alert beside her. What's wrong? I'm pregnant, she said. The words felt true even before she'd consciously realized them. When you were in the void. When Orion pulled you back. Something attached itself. Not corruption. Not invasion. Just life, Damien finished, his hand moving to her still flat stomach. The spirit element. It's been here the whole time. They, Arya corrected. Twins. A boy and a girl. Void and light. Night and day. They're the balance, Damien. The final element. Through their mate bond, she felt his wonder, his joy, his terror. The void marked them, he said quietly. Our children will carry that. Is it safe? Can you? I carried Lyra and Selene while being slowly killed by a broken bond, Arya reminded him. I can handle this. But as the months passed, Arya learned that handling it was relative. The pregnancy was unlike anything she'd experienced. Some days she felt divine, glowing like Orion. Other days she felt hollow, touched by void. The twins inside her existed in perfect balance, but carrying that balance was exhausting. Lyra and Selene, now appearing 16, though barely 7 years old, attended to her constantly. Ember kept her warm on void days. Orion's light stabilized her on chaotic days. The dragons guarded her obsessively. And Damien never left her side. I almost lost you once, he said one night, his hand on her swollen belly. I'm not leaving you alone with this. 9 months after the void rescue, Arya went into labor. It was chaos from the start. The twins inside her were fighting the birth, terrified of separation. Reality itself began to warp around Arya. Furniture phasing between solid and shadow, walls flickering like bad television reception. They're scared, Lyra said, her empathy reading the unborn babies. They think being born means being separated. Then we show them it doesn't, Arya gasped through a contraction. The birth took hours. Every moment felt like reality might shatter. But finally, the babies came. A boy and a girl, born holding hands. The boy, Nox, was beautiful in a frightening way. His skin seemed to absorb light, his eyes were like looking into the void itself, and shadows clung to him like a second skin. The girl, Lux, was his perfect opposite. She glowed softly, her skin radiant, her eyes holding captured starlight. The moment they were separated for cleaning, both babies screamed. And the room began to tear apart. Void rifts opened around Nox. Light explosions erupted around Lux. Reality itself couldn't decide which version to manifest. Give them back together. Damien shouted over the chaos. The midwife placed the twins in a single bassinet, their hands finding each other. Instantly, everything stabilized. Nox and Lux, night and day, void and light, together, they were perfect balance. The spirit element, Morgana breathed, watching from the doorway. Not one being. two halves of a whole. Neither light nor dark, but both. They're the bridge between all extremes. Arya pulled her newest children close, feeling the completion of something that had started with Lyra and Celene's birth 7 years ago. 5 elements. 7 children, not counting the dragons, though she did count them. A family built from prophecy and pain and impossible choices. We're complete, she whispered. We're just beginning, Damien corrected, looking at their assembled family with wonder. With all 5 elements united under Arya's love, something shifted in the supernatural world. The Moonborn Coalition, which had been struggling to maintain peace between species, suddenly flourished. Ancient enmities faded. Birth rates, cursed to be low since the Elders' corruption, spiked to healthy levels for the first time in centuries. Arya became more than Luna, Queen of Werewolves. She became the true Luna Queen, recognized by all species as the mother of balance itself. It wasn't a position she'd wanted. But it was one she accepted. Because someone had to lead. Someone had to show that unity was possible. And she'd already proven she would sacrifice anything for her children. Now those children included every supernatural being under her protection. Character resolutions. Damien made a full recovery from his void trauma, though the marks remained. His silver-streaked hair and void black eye became badges of honor, proof that he'd literally gone to hell for his family and come back. He ruled beside Arya as Luna King, their partnership tested and proven. His relationship with their children deepened, especially with Nox, who carried the void mark and sometimes struggled with the darkness it represented. I know what it's like, Damien would tell his son during night terrors. The void whispers lies. But our family speaks truth. Choose us. Lyra and Selene, now appearing 20 though barely 11, ran the academy together. What had started as a small school for supernatural children had grown to serve over 500 students from every species. Lyra specialized in healing and diplomacy, her empathic powers making her a natural mediator. She was being courted by a young Fey prince, though she insisted she was too busy for romance. Selene led the military and combat training programs, her warrior nature finding perfect expression. She'd bonded with Tempest too. A white dragon who'd hatched from the sacrifice of the original Tempest, carrying Moira's essence and memories. Various alpha heirs sought her attention, but Selene claimed she was married to her work. Arya suspected both her daughters were just waiting for the right moment. They were young despite their appearances. They had time. Orion, now appearing 10 though barely 5, had become what he called the Bridge, a divine being who could communicate directly with the moon goddess's remnants. His glow was controlled now, beautiful instead of blinding. He and Ember were inseparable, best friends despite their opposing elements. Sky and fire, light and heat, perfectly balanced. Ember had found her confidence through family. The gentle phoenix dragon became the protector of volcanic territories, using her power to prevent eruptions rather than cause them. Her kind nature made her beloved by the younger children, who would climb on her and braid her flame wings without fear. She was being courted by a young dragon from the eastern territories, but she was shy about it, her internal temperature spiking pink whenever anyone teased her about it. Nox and Lux, now appearing 8 though barely 5, were never apart. Their power was feared by some, the combination of void and light was unprecedented, but Arya and Damien raised them with love and boundaries. They represented the future, acceptance of all natures, even void. Even darkness. Because darkness balanced by light wasn't evil. It was just real. Kyle and Lily had found their own peace. Lily fully accepted her draconic Dampier nature, becoming an ambassador to hybrid communities across the world. Her unique perspective, wolf, vampire, and dragon combined, made her invaluable in negotiations. Kyle led the first Pax integration into modern supernatural society, bridging ancient traditions with contemporary needs. Lucian, Victor, and Isadora saw the vampire kingdom thrive under their leadership. The brothers' reconciliation became a symbol of healing, proof that even centuries-old wounds could mend. Isadora, now appearing 16, ran a trauma recovery center for rescued supernatural children. She understood their pain in ways no one else could, and her gentle strength helped hundreds heal. The 9 dragons each found their roles. Some became guardians of supernatural borders. Others taught at the academy. A few explored the world, establishing dragon outposts in territories that had never seen their kind. And Tempest too, the white dragon born from Moira's sacrifice, bonded with Selene as her mount and partner, carrying forward the legacy of the original Tempest. 5 years after Nox and Lux's birth, Arya stood on the balcony of the palace they'd built. A beautiful structure of stone and glass and growing things, sustainable and alive, representing the unity they'd fought so hard to achieve. Below, the annual Unity Festival was in full swing. Thousands of supernatural beings from every species mingled freely, wolves dancing with vampires, witches teaching fey children spells, dragons giving rides to laughing wolf pups. This was what they'd built. What they'd bled for. Damien joined her, silver hair glinting in the moonlight. Thinking. Remembering. Arya leaned into him. 7 years ago, I stood at an altar and heard you reject me. I was pregnant, terrified, alone. I thought my life was ending. And now? Damien kissed her temple. Now I'm the Luna Queen, mother to 7 children, she smiled. 9 if you count Tempest too and the dragon who hatched last month. I'm ruler of a united supernatural world. I have a family that would go to hell itself for me. She looked up at him. Because they already have. Below them, their children moved through the celebration. Lyra, appearing 20, danced with the Fey prince who'd been courting her for 2 years. She was laughing, her healing nature making everyone around her smile. Selene sparred with Tempest too in the combat arena, both of them showing off for the crowd. Her warrior's grace was breathtaking. Orion, appearing 10 with cosmic eyes that held wisdom beyond his years, taught a group of young witch children how to control their magic without fear. Ember sat carefully among a group of phoenix hatchlings, her heat precisely calibrated so she could play without burning anyone. She was giggling, actually giggling, as they tried to mimic her flame wings. Nox and Lux, appearing 8 but acting like the 5-year-olds they were, created void light displays in the sky. Beautiful patterns of shadow and radiance that made the crowd gasp. You were never weak, Damien said, pulling Arya's attention back to him. 3 new species had petitioned to join the coalition in the past year alone. Supernatural birth rates were at all-time highs. Art, culture, science, all flourished under the peace they'd established. It wasn't perfect. There were still conflicts, still prejudices, still wolves who looked at vampires with suspicion and vice versa. But it was better. So much better than it had been. Arya looked up at the full moon, feeling the goddess's approval wash over her like a blessing. The prophecy had said her daughters would either unite or divide the supernatural world. She looked at her children, all of them, daughters and sons and dragons and every being under her protection. We chose unity, she whispered. We chose love. Damien pulled her close. That's all that matters. As the celebration continued below, as their family laughed and played and lived, Arya felt something she hadn't felt in 7 years. Complete peace. The prophecy was fulfilled. The elements were united. The family was whole. And finally, they could rest. Deep in space, something stirred. A comet changed course, redirecting toward Earth with purpose and intelligence. Inside its crystalline heart, a being of pure energy opened eyes that hadn't seen light in millennia. Finally, it whispered, voice like music and mathematics combined. The Luna Queen has completed the elements. The 5 are united. The prophecy is fulfilled. It looked toward the distant blue planet, toward the family that had changed everything. Now we can return home. The comet accelerated, burning across the cosmos like a falling star with intention. In 7 months, it would arrive. And everything Arya had built would be tested one final time. But that was a story for another day. Tonight, the family was whole. Tonight, they were at peace. Tonight, they had one. The end. Thank you for listening to this story. Like, share and subscribe for more.